Chapter 1822. Goddess Nikhang stood there like a goddess from the 9 heavens. Her clothes fluttered in the wind and she didn't say a word. It was like she came here today only to watch the show. Qin Dongtian's hair was as black as ink and his eyes were deep. He stared at the Tiandao Sacred Academy and spoke. The Tiandao Sacred Academy has been imparting knowledge for countless years and everyone admires you. You must have an extraordinary understanding of the heavenly Tao. Today I came here to seek the Tao. Please enter the Sacred Academy. A voice rang out from within the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Qin Dangtian stepped out, stepping on the stairway leading to the Sacred Academy. The experts from the Tiandao Sacred Academy on both sides all retreated, watching as the two of them walked past them. Qin Wenyan stood beside Qin Dangtian. This was the first time he was looking at Qin Dangtian from such a close distance. Qin Dongtian's destined place, right now, was so extraordinary. His radiance was comparable to the sun and moon. Yet, Qin Dangtian directly walked past Qin Wenyan. Qin Wenyan's heart trembled slightly as he drew in a deep breath. Goddess Nikhang also walked past him. That beautiful silhouette of hers had no expression on her face, but it couldn't mask her supreme charm. She was the #1 beauty in the heaven region. No one could stand shoulder to shoulder with her. At this moment, Qin Dangtian halted his steps. He turned his head and glanced at Qin Wenyan. His deep eyes gleamed with a soul-stirring light. Qin Wenyan's eyes narrowed as he stared at Qin Dangtian. Could it be that Qin Dangtian saw through something? This was impossible. He didn't have any bloodline power in him. Qin Dangtian wouldn't be able to sense it. "Or you?" Qin Dangtian asked. The senses of heavenly deities were extremely sharp. He could sense that the gaze Qin Wenyan used to look at him was different from everyone else. This feeling was very strange, but he could clearly sense it. "I'm a student of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wenyan." The Divine Sound World Overlord walked to the side of Qin Wenyan, worried that Qin Wenyan would feel too much pressure. After all, the person before him was a supreme genius, a heavenly deity. He has never heard of the Qingqing Realm Lord before. Although Qin Wenyan's fame was great and many major powers were paying attention to him, so what of it? Who was he? He was the Heaven's Son, a supreme heavenly deity. He had never paid attention to those weaker than him. Right now, in his eyes, there were only those characters who stood at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Surname Qin? Compared to the Qingqing Realm Lord's name, he seemed to be more concerned about Qin Wenyan's surname. Because Qin Wenyan shared the same surname as him. In this world, how many people are worthy of the surname Qin? Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. After that, he turned his gaze over and entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy. To him, Qin Wenyan was merely an insignificant minor character. Qin Wenyan basically wouldn't be able to enter his world and wouldn't be able to cause any ripples in his heart. There were so many people in this world with the surname Qin. Just outside the Tiandao Sacred Academy, there were many people with this surname. However, Qin Dangtian actually said that how many people were worthy of the surname Qin? How arrogant was this? However, as the Heaven's Son, the youngest heavenly deity in the immortal realms, he seemed to have the qualifications to say such words. Only the Qin clan was at the peak of the Qin surname. In this world, if the surname Qin was mentioned, the first name everyone would think of would be the Qin clan. Goddess Nikhang didn't turn her head back. It was like in this world, there was no one who was worthy of her glance. Wherever she went, the people in the world could only become her background. Qin Dangtian and Goddess Nikhang entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy together. On the Heavenly Tao stairway, the disciples of the Sacred Academy all followed them into the Sacred Academy. They wanted to see why Qin Dangtian paid a visit to the Tiandao Sacred Academy exactly. Outside the Tiandao Sacred Academy, countless people felt a sense of disappointment and frustration when they saw Qin Dangtian and Goddess Nikhang disappearing before their eyes. However, they didn't leave and chose to wait outside, wanting nothing more than to become a disciple of the Sacred Academy and enter the Sacred Academy to take a look. After Qin Dangtian and Goddess Nikhang entered the Sacred Academy, they continued forward. In the depths of the Sacred Academy, there was a formless aura guiding them. This was an invitation from a heavenly deity, wanting them to enter. Qin Dang Tian naturally understood this. Many disciples of the Tiandao Sacred Academy followed behind them, heading deeper into the academy. However, when they reached the deepest part of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, it was no longer a place where ordinary disciples of the Tiandao Sacred Academy could enter. That place was the Divine Tao platform. Heavenly deities would occasionally give Tao lectures there. Those who were qualified to enter were only the disciples of heavenly deities. Senior brother, seems like I won't be able to see it. Jun Mingchen spoke in a low voice when he saw that place. Qin Dang Tian and Goddess Nikhang had already entered. I will tell you when we return. Qin Wentian spoke. He was a student of Goddess Dugu and naturally had the qualifications to enter. His senior brother Shin Yin naturally had the qualifications as well. They followed together and entered the region ahead. The majority of the students of the Tiandao Sacred Academy remained outside. They were the same as the people outside the Tiandao Sacred Academy, wanting to know what would happen there exactly. On the Divine Tao platform, 3 figures could be seen sitting side by side. Goddess Dugu was actually one of them. She sat on the left side. Qin Wenin naturally understood what this meant. These 3 were all heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. All of them were welcoming Heaven's Son Qin Dang Tian on the Divine Tao platform at the same time. This was already an extremely high standard. From this, one could see how highly they regarded Qin Dang Tian, the youngest heavenly deity in the world, a character who defeated the Sky Order heavenly deity the moment he broke through to the heavenly deity realm. He was known as Heaven's Son, and the Tiandao Sacred Academy had no choice but to regard him highly. The 2 of you came from afar. Please be seated. On the Divine Tao platform, there were 2 seats opposite to the 3 heavenly deities. Before heavenly deities, world overlords weren't qualified to sit. But because of Goddess Nichang's special status and because she came here together with Qin Dang Tian, the heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy also granted her a seat. Qin Dang Tian entered the Divine Tao platform and sat opposite to the 3 heavenly deities. As for Goddess Nikhang, she didn't enter the Divine Tao platform. She stood outside and was incomparably quiet, quietly watching everything. Today, Qin Dang Tian was the one who came here to seek the Tao of heavenly deities. Qin Wenin and the others also stood outside the Divine Tao platform, staring at the 3 heavenly deities sitting opposite to Qin Dang Tian. Qin Dang Tian faced the 3 heavenly deities of the Sacred Academy alone. His aura was as outstanding as ever, exuding boundless magnificence. I've long heard of the name Heaven's Son. Now that I've seen him for myself, he is even more outstanding than the rumors. The heavenly deity sitting in the middle spoke. This was an old man clad in starry robes. He exuded a transcendent aura. Junior, please guide me. I've long admired the name of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Today, I came here to seek guidance from all of you. What is the heavenly Tao? What is the heavenly Tao? Qin Dang Tian seemed humble, but his tone was filled with arrogance. The moment he opened his mouth, he invited the heavenly deities to guide him, asking them what the heavenly Tao was. The heavenly Tao is the Divine Tao. Those who can comprehend it would become heavenly deities. The heavenly Tao is unfathomable. We can only comprehend it. How can we explain it clearly? The heavenly deity in the middle spoke. Everything in the world has its own laws. Humans can come into contact with them. The so-called heavenly Tao is nothing more than strength. It can also be comprehended. If not, how would seniors have your current accomplishments? How would I be able to sit here? Since there are laws that can be found, how can there be unfathomable things? I can't believe seniors' words. Qin Dang Tian spoke, doubting the words of the heavenly deity of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The comprehension of the heavenly Tao is based on the heart. Even for us heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, we also have different understandings. It's not strange that Heaven's Son doesn't agree with my words. The old man calmly spoke. It's not that we have different understandings. It's just that seniors' words are a fallacy and are wrong. Qin Dang Tian calmly spoke. His arrogant words caused the eyes of the disciples of the Tiandao Sacred Academy to gleam with sharpness. This heaven's son truly wasn't polite at all. They were all heavenly deities. What qualifications did he have to say such arrogant words? Since this is the case, what is your understanding of the heavenly Tao? Goddess Dugu asked. She exuded boundless charm, and although her beauty was inferior to Goddess Nikhang, her aura wasn't inferior at all. She was a true divinity. The heavenly Tao is the human Tao. Humans can triumph over the heavens. I'm a deity, my Tao is the heavenly Tao, I don't need to comprehend the heavenly Tao. Qin Dangtian slowly spoke. He then continued, my life's pursuit has always been to pursue myself, to break through the shackles of my own self. Now that I'm already a heavenly deity, my Tao itself represents the so-called heavenly Tao. Humans themselves are above the heavenly Tao. The three heavenly deities had looks of contemplation on their faces. They didn't glare at Qin Dangtian because of his arrogant words. Instead, they were contemplating. They were all heavenly deities. Even if Qin Dangtian's words were arrogant, there was still a need to ponder over them. From a certain perspective, he was right. Heavenly deities, just by standing there, they represented the power of the heavenly Tao. Maybe so. Our understandings are different. You feel that I'm wrong. But for me, I still believe in my own comprehension. The heavenly deity in the middle spoke. Everyone's comprehension was different. This was especially so when one reached the highest realm. It was impossible to say who was absolutely right and who was absolutely wrong. Tiandao Sacred Academy is a place of Tao transmission. However, I don't dare to agree with what you said today. You are inferior to your reputation. Qin Dangtian directly spoke. At this moment, the three heavenly deities couldn't help but frown. Tiandao Sacred Academy was a place of Tao transmission. Qin Dangtian's words already contained a hint of humiliation. Since you claim to be a junior, aren't your words a little too arrogant? You have no one in your eyes. The middle-aged heavenly deity on the right also spoke, his tone filled with unhappiness. Although heavenly deities had good self-restraint, it didn't mean that they wouldn't be angered. Although I refer to all of you as seniors, there's a difference in my understanding of the Tao. My comprehension might not be inferior to all of you. Since our views are different, we can only discuss the Tao and seek guidance. Qin Dangtian spoke. The three heavenly deities stared at each other. As expected, Heaven's Son actually issued a challenge to the heavenly deities of Tiandao Sacred Academy. Today, he came with ill intentions. It wasn't a simple matter of seeking guidance. Everyone in the world knew that Qin Dangtian came to Tiandao Sacred Academy. Outside the Sacred Academy, countless people were spectating. Right now, Qin Dangtian used the Tao discussion as an excuse to issue a challenge. Tiandao Sacred Academy had no choice but to accept. The three heavenly deities stared at Qin Dangtian only to hear Goddess Dugu speaking. Since Heaven's Son is interested in discussing the Tao, I'm willing to experience Heaven's Son's Tao. Goddess Dugu accepted the challenge. Outside the divine Tao platform, the eyes of Qin Wenin and the others gleamed with sharpness. Today, they would be able to personally witness the Tao discussion between heavenly deities right before their eyes. Qin Wenin really wanted to see how strong this person was exactly. Chapter 1823. Qin Dangtian's expression was as calm as ever when he saw Goddess Dugu accepting the challenge. Today, he came to the Tiandao Sacred Academy to seek the Tao. He would definitely defeat a heavenly deity. There was no suspense at all. Please. Qin Dangtian spoke. Goddess Dugu stood up. At this moment, the divine Tao platform radiated boundless light, enveloping the heavens and earth. Goddess Dugu's silhouette flashed as she soared up into the air. In an instant, it was as though she was standing in the middle of the boundlessly vast starry space. At this moment, the divine Tao platform was already sealed, connecting to the heavens. The people outside could only see it, but they couldn't enter. They wouldn't be affected by the aftershocks either. The three heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy didn't stop the students of the Tiandao Sacred Academy from spectating, even though there was a possibility that they might lose. Tiandao Sacred Academy taught the Tao. A battle between heavenly deities was by itself one of the best ways to impart the Tao. It was extremely rare to encounter a battle between heavenly deities even once in 10,000 years. By allowing these most outstanding students to spectate, it would naturally be beneficial to them. Qin Dangtian stood up. His silhouette flashed as he soared up into the air as well. At this instant, his black hair fluttered in the wind, exuding an unexcelled might. At this moment, in the boundless starry space, tens of millions of Goddess Dugu's silhouettes appeared. Each silhouette was as beautiful as the original, incomparably beautiful. With so many Goddess Dugu appearing at the same time, the entire starry space lost its color. The countless Dugu deities transformed into numerous diagrams that directly shot towards Qin Dangtian. They were like countless shooting stars, capable of penetrating through time. Each of the diagrams contained the power of Dugu deities' lifetime of cultivation. When they unleashed their attacks at the same time, even the starry space seemed to be on the verge of being destroyed, as though the sky itself was about to be pierced through. Qin Dangtian stood there like a mountain. Boundless treasure light radiated from him as countless ancient characters floated around him. Each ancient character contained boundless energy and radiated a radiance that pierced through the sky. In addition, the colors of these ancient characters were all different. The Qin Dangtian at this moment had truly transformed into a heavenly divinity. The treasure light enveloped him, exuding a solemn and divine aura. One of the ancient characters resembled the imprint of a Taoist deity, radiating a resplendent light. In an instant, his entire body shone with a boundlessly resplendent crimson light, illuminating the entire starry space. It was as though a sun had appeared, capable of incinerating everything in the world. Numerous diagrams of the Dugu deity were engulfed within. Some were weakened, but there were simply too many diagrams. Their might was endless, and in the end, even the sun was destroyed. However, at this moment, the ancient characters around Qin Dangtian unceasingly shone with light. One of the golden ancient characters radiated a sky-blotting radiance. In an instant, the entire starry space seemed to come to a standstill. The countless diagrams of the Dugu deity were all locked in place, unable to move. It was as though time and space had stopped. Almost at the same time, the power of the other ancient characters slammed into Empyrean Dugu. In the blink of an eye, the boundless image of Empyrean Dugu vanished without a trace. Only one person remained standing there, and that was none other than Empyrean Dugu's true self. "What power is this?" Goddess Dugu asked. "I've said it before. The human Tao is the heavenly Tao. The power of heavenly Tao is merely controlled by humans. Since I'm a divinity, I naturally represent the heavenly Tao of this world. The ancient characters around me each contain a type of heavenly Tao energy. There's no need for me to unleash too much of the power of the ancient characters to defeat you." Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. "I also know that Goddess Dugu is proficient in the ability to copy the power of the myriad of things. However, you have no way to copy my ability." The three heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy sighed in their hearts. The ancient characters around him each represented a type of heavenly Tao energy. If this was the case, who in the heavenly deity realm would be able to defeat this heaven's sun? Back then, although the news of the Sky Order heavenly deity being crippled circulated around the world, not many people knew about the details of that battle. Only today did they truly understand how powerful this heaven's sun was. Goddess Dugu stared at the ancient characters around Qin Dangtian as she sighed in her heart, "I'm inferior to you." She was a heavenly deity, yet she admitted that she was inferior to Qin Dangtian. Qin Wenyan and the other disciples of the Sacred Academy felt shock in their hearts. Goddess Dugu was actually defeated? Very clearly, there was a disparity between the two of them. Maybe this wasn't Qin Dangtian's true strength. What was Heaven's Son? This was precisely Heaven's Son. He was born extraordinary. Even though they were all heavenly deities, he could easily make other heavenly deities admit that they were inferior to him. Being able to face defeat so calmly, your demeanor is truly extraordinary. However, why can't you all admit that your comprehensions of the heavenly Tao are wrong? Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. Even if he is defeated, he still insists that he has his own comprehensions of the heavenly Tao. What you feel to be correct might not necessarily be correct to others. The heavenly deity in the middle replied. Qin Dongtian's words were too domineering. He actually wanted them to admit that their comprehensions of the heavenly Tao were wrong. Ha, you are just twisting words and forcing logic down my throat. Since Senior feels this way, in that case, the other two heavenly deities, please guide me together. Qin Dangtian challenged the other two heavenly deities and even wanted them to guide him together. Did this mean that he wanted to fight against two heavenly deities at the same time? The two of us naturally won't fight at the same time. However, if we fight one-on-one, I'm afraid we would be the same as Dugu, defeated by the heavenly deities. In that case, there's no need for us to fight anymore. The old man in the middle calmly spoke. The hearts of the people from Tiandao's sacred academy trembled. They didn't understand how strong Qin Dangtian was, but was he really so strong that he could make three heavenly deities admit defeat? Although they weren't willing to admit it, it was very clear that this was the case. Some people were born different from others. At the same cultivation realm, they could easily suppress their opponents. You all have the courage to admit defeat but not the courage to admit your mistakes? Or could it be that you guys are worried that the qualifications of Tiandao's Sacred Academy to spread the Tao might be questioned? Qin Dongtian's tone was extremely domineering. He and Dugu had already descended below the Divine Tao platform and returned to their seats. The seal on the Divine Tao platform was also undone. The three heavenly deities were actually forced into silence. Their strength was inferior to Qin Dongtian's. Their words were naturally not persuasive at all. Tiandao's Sacred Academy has been spreading the Tao for countless years. How can we doubt it just because of a single battle? How ridiculous! At this moment, a voice rang out. Qin Dangtian slowly turned his gaze over, staring at Qin Wenyan outside the Divine Tao platform. What else can be more persuasive than a Tao debate? Qin Dangtian calmly replied, basically not placing Qin Wenyan in his heart. Just because you won a single battle, you want others to admit their mistakes in their cultivation and acknowledge you? If you want to stand above the masses, those who submit to you will definitely prosper. You can't listen to any rebellious voices. You want others to acknowledge your values? This isn't comprehending the heavenly Tao, it's being muddle-headed and tyrannical. When Qin Dangtian saw that Qin Wenyan still dared to continue speaking, he questioned, "Do you understand the heavenly Tao?" Not waiting for Qin Wenyan to reply, he continued, "Am I the one who understands the heavenly Tao, or are you the one? You are just an ant, you haven't even come into contact with the heavenly Tao. What qualifications do you have to speak before me? Shut up." These words would definitely cause everyone to be speechless. However, Qin Wenyan's gaze was as resolute as ever. He stared at Qin Dongtian's deep eyes and calmly spoke, "Just like what you said before, there's a difference in understanding the Tao. When the heavenly deities of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy started spreading their Tao, you most probably weren't even born yet. Now, you are actually so arrogant before them. 1,000 years later, I will definitely tell you whether you understand the heavenly Tao or I do." 1,000 years? Qin Dongtian's eyes flashed with mockery. On his path of cultivation, he had seen too many arrogant people. However, all of them were trampled under his feet. This person was no exception. In fact, he couldn't even be bothered with him. He turned his head back, no longer glancing at Qin Wenyan. He didn't know the Qingqing Realm Lord, he had never heard of him before. Unless one was a heavenly deity, they wouldn't be able to enter his eyes. Is the headmaster not in the Sacred Academy? Qin Dangtian suddenly asked, asking the headmaster of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy. The three heavenly deities stared at Qin Dangtian. Why are you asking this? Could it be that Qin Dangtian wanted to challenge the headmaster of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy? Although Qin Dongtian's talent was extremely high, this was basically impossible. Right now, Qin Dangtian still didn't have the qualifications to do so. Maybe he would be able to do so in the future. Since seniors admit that you are inferior to me, and the Tiandao's Sacred Academy is also spreading their Tao, in that case, is there a place that I can enter? Qin Dangtian asked. The eyes of the three heavenly deities all flashed with a dazzling light as they stared at Qin Dangan. Was this his true purpose for coming here? Qin Dangtian actually had such ambition, wanting to enter that legendary place. You are heaven's son and have already broken through to the heavenly deity realm. You are also not a student of the sacred academy, you naturally won't be able to enter. The old man spoke. I've been pursuing the limits of the Tao my entire life. Since I've already broken through to the heavenly deity realm, wouldn't it be better for me to comprehend the Tao even more deeply? As for being a student of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, I came to the Tiandao Sacred Academy to seek for the Tao. It's not impossible for me to become a student of the Tiandao Sacred Academy as long as the Tiandao Sacred Academy allows me to enter. Qin Dangtian calmly stared at them. Seniors, since all three of you admit that you are inferior to me, let me ask you, who else is more suitable than me to enter? You are twisting words and forcing logic down my throat. The old man spoke. Seems like the Tiandao Sacred Academy is nothing but an undeserved reputation. I will stay in the Taoist Lodge for 3 months and wait for you all to ask the headmaster of the Sacred Academy for his opinion. If he agrees, I will enter the Sacred Academy again. If he doesn't, everyone in the world will naturally know that the so-called educating everyone regardless of background, is nothing but a lie. After speaking, Qin Dangtian stood up again and said, farewell. After speaking, he directly turned his head and walked out of the Divine Tao platform, showing no reluctance at all. Goddess Nikhang quietly watched everything. From the start to the end, she didn't say anything. After Qin Dangtian left, she also followed him and walked out of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The three heavenly deities stared at Qin Dangtian's back, all of them speechless. Today, the Tiandao Sacred Academy was humiliated because of a single person. As the saying goes, there would always be a heaven's chosen in every generation. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, who could obstruct the rise of heaven's chosen? Their Tiandao Sacred Academy was in trouble. Qin Wendian stared at Qin Dangtian's departing back. After Qin Dangtian left, Qin Wendian didn't even glance at him. It was like in Qin Dangtian's eyes he, Qin Wendian, was merely an insignificant character. He was the heaven's chosen, the future overlord of the Qin clan. In his eyes, how could there be a world overlord? The him now basically didn't expect that in the future, this world overlord would decide his life, becoming his greatest enemy, his mortal enemy. Chapter 1824. When Qin Dangtian stepped out of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he still attracted the attention of countless people. In truth, even if Qin Dangtian stayed in the Tiandao Sacred Academy for a long time, they would still be willing to continue waiting. Just Qin Dangtian alone was worth them waiting for. In addition, countless people were filled with anticipation, wanting to see the number one beauty of the heaven region once again. Qin Dangtian actually came out so quickly. What happened in the Tiandao Sacred Academy? Countless people mused in their hearts. However, Qin Dangtian directly departed. He didn't stay here. Goddess Nikhang also left together with him. However, Qin Dangtian didn't leave far away. He stopped at the Taoist Lodge not far away, preparing to stay there. The Lodge Lord of the Taoist Lodge personally came out to welcome him, leading him into the Heaven Equal Lodge. Just when countless people were filled with anticipation about what happened in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, news finally circulated out from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Heaven's son Qin Dangtian came to the Tiandao Sacred Academy and challenged the heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. After he was defeated, the three heavenly deities all admitted that they weren't qualified to enter Qin Dangtian's ranks. When this news circulated out, Taoist City was shaken. This news swiftly circulated to the various regions of the Mystic Region and then to the other regions of the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. Heaven's son Qin Dangtian's name once again swept through the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms like a storm. In fact, there was even a rumor circulating in the Immortal Realms. Heaven's son has entered the world, heavenly deities tremble. As long as the God King doesn't appear, who can contend against him? Qin Dangtian's name was like the sun in the sky, no one could surpass him. Heaven's son Qin Dangtian entering the Sacred Academy caused the attention of the various regions. This caused a huge commotion in the supreme ancient immortal realms. After that, more insider information was leaked. Qin Dang Tian didn't leave the Dao Ask Lodge because he was waiting for news from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy because he wanted to enter the legendary place in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. That place was his true target. Tiandao Sacred Academy, only that legendary place would attract heaven's sons. Given Qin Dangtian's supreme talent, could it be that Qin Dangtian wanted to enter the Sacred Academy to seek the Tao? Who could teach him? Only he could teach others. However, how many people had the qualifications to enter that legendary place? Would the headmaster of the Tiandao Sacred Academy allow Qin Dangtian to enter? In terms of talent, Qin Dangtian seemed to have faintly touched the boundary of that level. If he wasn't qualified, how many people in the supreme ancient immortal realms would have the qualifications to enter the legendary place? There were also countless people who were puzzled. Were the rumors true? Did the legendary place really exist in Tiandao Sacred Academy? What was in that legendary place that was worthy for the chosen one to descend upon the Tiandao Sacred Academy, defeat the heavenly deities, and display his peerless talent in order to obtain the qualifications to enter? Of course, the legendary place only existed in legends. Very few people actually knew about it. These were all stories to be told later. After Qin Dangtian left the Sacred Academy, the three heavenly deities sank into contemplation. Deity Dugu spoke to the people outside the Divine Tao platform. You guys can leave first. Qin Wendian and the others nodded. They bowed and retreated, leaving this place. However, their hearts weren't calm at all. Not only for Qin Wendian, the hearts of everyone here were filled with great waves of shock. They came to the Tiandao Sacred Academy to seek the Tao because this was a holy ground for cultivation. This was where many of them believed in. However, Qin Dangtian earlier seemed to have shattered their faith. The three heavenly deities admitted that they were inferior before Heaven's Son. What was the heavenly Tao? Qin Dangtian said that his Tao was the heavenly Tao. His will was the heavenly Tao. How tyrannical was this? Could it be that the heavenly deities of the Sacred Academy were wrong? Qin Wendian didn't feel troubled because of this. If Qin Dangtian wasn't strong, how could he be known as Heaven's Son? If Qin Dangtian wasn't strong, how could he cripple his uncle? How could he be worthy of being the son of Qin Zheng, the greatest enemy of his father Qin Yuanfeng, the grandson of Qin Ding? It was only natural for him to defeat a heavenly deity. He wasn't troubled, but he could still feel the pressure from Qin Dangtian. Many ancient words revolved around Qin Dangtian. Each of them represented a type of heavenly Tao energy. How powerful was this ability? After they left, the heavenly deity sitting in the center sighed, I didn't expect that the Qin clan, which was originally already so powerful, would welcome a third generation of glory. The strength of the Qin clan has already lasted for 3 generations. Starting from Qin Tiangang and Qin Ding, the two of them displayed supreme talent. Qin Tiangang was invincible, but sadly, he died mysteriously in the end. However, Qin Ding was still alive. The next generation, Qin Zheng and Qin Yuanfeng, inherited their father's talent. Sadly, the Qin clan didn't accept Qin Yuanfeng and killed him. These 2 generations truly made people sigh with sorrow. Right now, the third generation, Heaven's Son Qin Dangtian, has appeared. His talent was in no way inferior compared to his father's generation. It's my fault. Goddess Dugu softly spoke. She had been defeated. How can we blame you? I've already said it. Even if one of us acted, the ending would be the same. Our Tiandao Sacred Academy is in danger. The old man sighed. The two of them fell silent. Although it was just a battle, they understood what this meant. This meant that the faith of many people would crumble. The 3 heavenly deities of the Sacred Academy couldn't win against Qin Dangtian. What would the people of the world think? What would the countless people who sought the Tao in Tiandao Sacred Academy think? Also, the influence of this battle wasn't limited to just this. Heaven's Son, how domineering was he? He said that he wanted to enter that legendary place. Given his opponent's strength, if they didn't allow him to enter, there would surely be a storm stirred up. However, given the arrogant personality of this man, how could the headmaster allow him to enter? Just like what Qin Wendian said, this man was a ruthless hegemon. Only those who obeyed him would be able to prosper. As long as his will was there, others wouldn't dare to oppose it. Our sacred academy has been flourishing for countless years. The headmaster once said that there would be a calamity in the future. I wonder if this matter would be the fuse for that calamity. The middle-aged man spoke. Should we inform the headmaster about this matter? Can the matters that happened in Tiandao's Sacred Academy be hidden from the headmaster? When the headmaster of Tiandao's Sacred Academy was mentioned, only then did the old man in the middle reveal a smile. The other two heavenly deities also smiled and nodded. That's right, how could the matters that happened in Tiandao's Sacred Academy be hidden from the headmaster? There was basically no need for them to say anything. Qin Wendian returned to his courtyard and told Jun Mingchen and the others about the battle. Jun Mingchen and the others all sighed with admiration. I didn't expect Heaven's Son to be so powerful. Even the heavenly deities of Tiandao's Sacred Academy are inferior to him. Don't worry. In the future when Wendian becomes a heavenly deity, wouldn't there be a heavenly deity in Tiandao's Sacred Academy who can defeat him? Little Rascal spoke in his baby-like voice. Qin Wendian unhappily glanced at him. Jun Mingchen also nodded and smiled. That's right. Senior brother already said that in the future, that person would definitely be defeated by senior brother. I didn't expect him to be so arrogant. I'm also very unhappy with him. What a waste of a supreme beauty. But, do you like her? Qin Wendian smiled. How can that be? It's just that this woman is simply too beautiful. Jun Mingchen spoke. Qin Wendian nodded. He couldn't help but to admit it. She is the #1 beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang. Qin Wendian spoke. The #1 beauty of the heaven region? No wonder. Jun Mingchen mumbled. I have to cultivate well too. Maybe in the future, I would also be able to surpass Heaven's Son. Jun Mingchen smiled. Senior brother, I will leave first. Emichim. Qin Wendian nodded. Little Rascal also followed Purgatory and left this place. After everyone left, only Qin Wendian, Qin Cheng and Yi Qinyu remained in the courtyard. Qin saw that Qin Wendian was in contemplation again. She quietly walked to his side, her beautiful eyes staring at Qin Wendian as she spoke in a light voice. You are acquainted with him, right? Qin Wendian started. He glanced at Qin in bewilderment only to see Qin's beautiful eyes staring at him. She stretched out her hand and held his tightly as she spoke in a light voice. I'm your wife. No matter what you experience, I will bear it together with you. Qin Wendian stared at Qin as he sighed in his heart. Now, Heaven's Son has appeared. Maybe he should tell them some things. As his women, they had the qualifications to know the truth. In the past, he didn't tell them because he was worried that they would leak the secret. If they didn't even have this bit of trust, how could they be together? He trusted them more than he trusted himself. These women who loved him deeply were willing to give up everything for him, even if it was their lives. He didn't want them to bear the pressure on him. However, the appearance of Heaven's Son had already caused his heart to feel uneasy many times. Qin and Qingqing, who were extremely meticulous, could also sense it. Qin Wendian sealed this space. He rubbed Qing's white hair as he spoke in a gentle voice. You are the smart one. Qingqing. Qianyu, I've never told you guys about my true identity. In truth, I already knew about it. Now, it's about time for me to tell you guys. Qin Wendian slowly spoke. Before this, during the convention, Lei found Qingqing while searching for treasures. At that time, I'm sure Qin and Qingqing should have already guessed that Mother has a connection with the Luoshan clan. Luoshan Lei is my younger sister, the daughter of my uncle Qin. My mother came from the Luoshan clan. And before this, that Heaven's Son, Qin Dangtian, came from the Qin clan of the Heaven region and can be considered my cousin. My father also came from that clan. However, the Qin clan and that Heaven's Son's father used despicable methods to snatch away everything that belonged to my father. Qingqing and Qing's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wendian as their hearts trembled. Although they had already guessed a little, when Qin Wendian told them the truth, they were still extremely shocked. He actually had such an extraordinary identity. Qin Wentian's father came from the Qin clan of the Heaven region. His mother came from the Luotian clan of the Desolate region. Both of them were peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Heaven's son Qin Dongtian's first battle after stepping into the heavenly deity realm, he crippled my uncle who went to seek justice for my parents. My uncle said that he and I are fated enemies, destined to be born together. Qin Wentian laughed. The three maidens were shocked, but they also understood why Qin Wentian's state of mind was so unstable during these few days. He is someone I have to defeat. Qin Wentian spoke. I believe you. Qingqing smiled. During these years, those so-called enemies, which one of them didn't you surpass? Qin Dangtian is merely one of them. Qin Wentian started. After that, he laughed uproariously. Qingqing, what you said seems to be very logical. The Heaven's chosen one would only be one of those people in the past. Chapter 1825. Qin Dangtian would stay in the Taoist Lodge for 3 months and wait for the Tiandao Sacred Academy's decision. When this news circulated, everyone in the world knew that Qin Dangtian wanted to enter the legendary place. Would the Tiandao Sacred Academy agree? Many peak powers in the supreme ancient immortal realms were paying attention to this. Today, a group of experts walked out from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. With Divine Sound as their representative, they came to the Taoist Lodge to pay a visit to Heaven's son Qin Dangtian. Qin Dangtian didn't come out to welcome them. He stood in the Equal Heaven residence and asked, "Has the Tiandao Sacred Academy made a decision?" Divine Sound nodded. Teacher told me to come here to pass on a message. Although Heaven's son is extremely talented, he isn't suitable to enter the legendary place of the Sacred Academy. The surroundings of the Taoist Lodge were as many as the clouds. They seemed to have already expected this result. Qin Dangtian came so domineeringly and humiliated the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Although this proved his unrivaled talent and combat prowess, it was clearly impossible for him to make the Tiandao Sacred Academy lower its head and invite him to enter the legendary place. Is this a rejection? Qin Dongtian's voice rang out from the Equal Heaven residence again. Has the Tiandao Sacred Academy thought this through? Teacher told me to pass on a message. Divine Sound's expression didn't change as he calmly spoke. Facing the Heaven's son who defeated a heavenly deity and rejecting him, one needed a certain level of courage. He was someone who defeated a heavenly deity of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Qin Wenin also came and stood beside the Divine Sound World Overlord, acting as a messenger. The Tiandao Sacred Academy only has an undeserved reputation. Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. 3 heavenly deities discussed the Tao with me and were defeated. Yet, they refused to admit that they didn't understand the heavenly Tao at all. They used the pretense of teaching everyone in the world without discrimination to gain fame. Right now, the students of the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy are everywhere in the world. The experts in the academy are as many as the clouds. Although they stand aloof from worldly affairs and won't participate in the disputes of the mortal world, in truth, the Sacred Academy has already accumulated a lot of power. How is this different from the other major powers? Divine Sound and the others all had expressions of unhappiness on their faces. Qin Dangtian was openly insulting the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Also, in the Taoist Lodge not far away from the Tiandao Sacred Academy, this place was the territory of the Sacred Academy. Yet, Qin Dangtian was speaking frankly with assurance, insulting the Sacred Academy for having an undeserved reputation. Heaven's son, why must you use your own thoughts to judge others? Teacher once said that Heaven's son is too arrogant and has nothing in his eyes. He doesn't allow anyone to have a different opinion, even if it's regarding his comprehension of the heavenly Tao. However, Heaven's son's talent is also at the peak. If you are allowed to enter the legendary place of the Sacred Academy, it would only be a calamity for you. Divine Sound no longer stood on ceremony and mocked. If Qin Dangtian didn't say the last sentence, he wouldn't have mentioned this. A gaze seemed to penetrate through space, staring at Divine Sound. An incomparably terrifying pressure bore down on him, but at the same time, a beam of light flashed from afar. In the direction of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, a voice rang out, "I was the one who told him to bring this message. Given your status, I believe you wouldn't make things difficult for them." Ha! Qin Dangton laughed uproariously, causing the sky to tremble and the earth to tremble. He spoke in a clear voice. The Sacred Academy that has an undeserved reputation actually dares to spread their teachings in the supreme ancient immortal realms. This is simply the shame of the world. Such a sacred academy shouldn't continue to exist in the supreme ancient immortal realms. It should be disbanded. As the sound of his voice faded, silence filled the surroundings. What an arrogant heaven's son. He actually said that the Tiandao Sacred Academy shouldn't exist and should be disbanded. Could it be that heaven's son wanted to declare war against the Tiandao Sacred Academy? It seemed that he had the qualifications to do so. Other than his own incomparable strength, there was also the powerful Qin clan of the heaven region behind him. Qin Dongqian's voice was undoubtedly like a bolt of thunder in a clear sky to Daoask City. A heavenly deity wouldn't speak without thinking. "Farewell, I will pay a visit to the Sacred Academy again in the future." Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. After that, a raging wind gushed forth from the heaven-equal residence. After that, Qin Dangtian departed. There was no longer anyone in the heaven-equal residence. As for the number one beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang, she most probably left together with him. Heaven's son left, but before he left behind a message that caused huge waves of commotion in Daoask City. It felt like a huge storm was about to descend as black clouds loomed over the city. Divine Sound stood there and was speechless for a long time. After that, he spoke, "Let's return." His expression was heavy because of a single sentence from Heaven's son Qin Dangtian. The group of them left the Daoask Lodge. Divine Sound didn't say a word. Qin Wenin spoke, "Senior brother, you seem to be very worried. This matter has already caused a huge commotion and would affect our Tiandao Sacred Academy greatly. Also, what sort of character is Qin Dangtian? He is incomparably arrogant and is a heavenly deity." The words of heavenly deities naturally wouldn't be spoken randomly. Every word of theirs might contain deep meanings. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed sharply. Qin Dangtian said that the Sacred Academy shouldn't continue to exist in the supreme ancient immortal realms and should be disbanded. Could it be that the Qin clan still wanted to act against the Tiandao Sacred Academy? Could it be that Qin Dangtian didn't mind starting a deity-level war just to enter the legendary Tiandao Sacred Academy? If that was the case, it would truly be a world-shaking tempest. I faintly heard the people of the Sacred Academy mentioning that our Tiandao Sacred Academy would face a calamity soon. I wonder if it was referring to this incident. During these days, Teacher has been staying in the Sacred Academy and he seems to be worried as well. Divine Sound sighed silently. Even a heavenly deity was worried. From this, one could tell that this matter wouldn't be so simple. Qin Dongqian's words soon circulated through Daoask City, causing a commotion. In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the hearts of everyone were wavering. They were thinking about the impact of this matter and how things would develop in the future. What would happen next? Many peak powers were paying attention to this matter. For the next period of time, news of this matter circulated through the mystic region. The various peak powers were also paying attention to this matter. At this moment, a voice rang out from the Ziwei Divine Court. It was said that this was the voice of a heavenly deity from the Ziwei Divine Court. He said that he agreed with the words of Heaven's son Qin Dangtian. The Tiandao Sacred Academy was fishing for fame and reputation, and there were suspicions of them deceiving the world. As the sound of this voice faded, waves of commotion rose again. A single sentence from the Ziwei Divine Court caused an earthquake in the mystic region. Were they agreeing with Qin Dangtian? The Ziwei Divine Court was one of the three hegemonic powers in the mystic region. What did their attitude signify? Seems like the Ziwei Divine Court also didn't wish for a power like the Tiandao Sacred Academy to exist in the mystic region. Could it be that those lofty powers no longer wanted to see the existence of the Sacred Academy? For countless years, The influence of the Tiandao Sacred Academy in the mystic region was extremely great. Although they controlled others, they only used the method of guiding their disciples and weren't considered a pure hegemonic power. However, if a war really broke out, the Tiandao Sacred Academy would be able to erupt forth with shocking power. Their disciples could be found everywhere in the world, and their experts were as common as the clouds, even surpassing some hegemonic powers. The existence of such a power would undoubtedly cause the hegemonic powers to feel trepidation. For example, back then during the convention of the Myriad Realms, if the Tiandao Sacred Academy didn't exist, Qin Wentian's ending might be different. He would either join the Ziwei Divine Court or choose to keep a low profile, not stepping out. Let alone killing the Dragon Pool Manor Lord. This matter caused the Ziwei Divine Court to lose a lot of face. This was the influence of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Even the hegemonic powers felt trepidation towards their existence. Just at this moment, when the commotion was still brewing, causing a huge commotion in the mystic region, the heavenly deity mountain also spoke. The Tiandao Sacred Academy treasures its treasures. Since they say that Heaven's Son has outstanding talent, why don't they allow him to enter the legendary place to cultivate? After all, it's still to strengthen himself and nurture the core disciples of the Sacred Academy. How many ordinary students in the Sacred Academy know of the legendary place in the Tiandao Sacred Academy? How many of them have entered before? These words were extremely harsh. Not only would the external influence be extremely great, it would also cause an extremely bad influence to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. There were many people in the Tiandao Sacred Academy who came here to seek the Tao. All of them were geniuses from the various regions, and many of them had supreme talent. There were successors of the Sword Saint Mountain, successors of the Divine Ox Clan. Which of these people weren't strong? If they didn't have supreme talent, why didn't they enter the legendary place? In the past, they didn't think about this. But a single sentence from the heavenly deity mountain caused many people to ponder. Could it be that only those who are willing to stay in the Sacred Academy and become a part of the Sacred Academy could enter the legendary place? Right now, this matter was no longer just Qin Dangtian insulting the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Even the two hegemonic powers of the mystic region stood out to speak. The Ziwei Divine Court and Heavenly Deity Mountain instantly pushed the Tiandao Sacred Academy into a huge vortex. That holy ground in Daoask City that imparted the Tao to the people of the world seemed to be facing a huge crisis. A storm seemed to be gathering with this holy ground as the center. At this moment, in the Sacred Academy, the hearts of the people were fluctuating. Qin Wenin was discussing some matters with divine sound. He didn't cultivate during this period of time and could clearly sense the changes in the Sacred Academy. Many people seemed to have become restless, different from the past. Clearly, the Ziwei Divine Court and Heavenly Deity Mountain statements had affected the hearts of the people. Senior Brother Divine Sound, have you asked teacher about this? What exactly is going on exactly? Why would such a storm suddenly drag the Sacred Academy into this? There shouldn't be a reason for this, right? Could it really be because of a single Qin Dangtian? Qin Wenin was filled with suspicion. Was Qin Dangtian's entry into the Sacred Academy the cause of this storm? Maybe it has something to do with some rumors. Divine Sound spoke. Since ancient Azure Mystic has reappeared in the world, there are rumors in the immortal realms that there would be a huge change in the supreme ancient immortal realms. I wonder if this matter has implicated the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Ancient Azure Mystic. Qin Wendian spoke in a light voice. In the world-ending battle back then, ancient Azure Mystic was already destroyed. Why would there be a huge change in the supreme ancient immortal realms when ancient Azure Mystic reappeared? Is it because they are afraid of that existence? The existence he was referring to was naturally the one recorded in the Heavenly Tao Library, the Grim Reaper. Who knows? The Tiandao Sacred Academy suddenly got embroiled in this. The Heaven's Son came here in such a domineering manner. It's very possible that he wanted to use this storm to gain a supreme position. His ambitions are extremely great. Divine Sound spoke. Qin Wendian nodded. As the Heaven's Son, Qin Dangtian's attitude was extremely arrogant. his ambitions were naturally extremely high. He chose the name Heaven's Son because he wanted to dominate the world. Chapter 1826. Qin Dongtian's ambition was extremely great, but wasn't Qin Wenyan the same as well? If Qin Dangtian wanted to verify his Tao, then Qin Wenyan wanted to defeat Qin Dangtian. Didn't this mean that his ambition surpassed Qin Dongtian's? When Qin Dangtian said that the Sacred Academy should be disbanded, the Ziwei Divine Court and the Heavenly Deity Mountain immediately responded. With such a powerful lineup, how could there not be a follow-up? Right now, he came to the Tiandao Sacred Academy and they would be able to meet him again. Did they want to allow the geniuses from the peak powers to enter the legendary place of the Sacred Academy? If not, once the geniuses from the peak powers gathered here, how would they give up so easily? They wanted to force the Tiandao Sacred Academy to compromise. If the Tiandao Sacred Academy didn't agree, it would be akin to inviting a wolf into their home, courting their own destruction. Chongkeng, it wasn't easy for you to survive. His martial uncle spoke. Yu Chongkong fell silent, he didn't reply. Right now, his entire person seemed to have changed. There was no longer a fake smile on his face. Instead, his expression was gloomy and cold, even more terrifying. After that day, the Ziwei Divine Court naturally knew that he was a fake. The heavenly deities were enraged, but because his talent was truly not bad, they still gave him a chance. That torment of life and death was something he would never be able to forget. All of this was given to him by Qin Wenyan. Right now, his strength was even stronger than before. In fact, when he fought against an expert on the heavenly Tao rankings of the Ziwei Divine Court, he wasn't any weaker. And as expected, not long after, the hegemonic powers of the other regions outside the mystic region also spoke out, saying that if the Tiandao Sacred Academy wanted to prove itself, they couldn't keep their treasures to themselves. They should open the legendary place and allow the peak characters of the various regions to enter for cultivation. Naturally, there was also the Qin clan. This matter was originally caused by Qin Dangtian. There was no doubt that he would come. Also, there would surely be many peak characters from the Qin clan who came. Who would he see? What kind of relationship did he have with his father? At this moment, Yu Chongkong's expression was cold to the extreme as he stared in the direction of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He heard that the current Yu Chongkong was cultivating in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Yu Chongkong snatched away his glory and everything, causing him to be humiliated. Although Yu Chongkong was still standing here now, he had experienced inhuman pain and was on the brink of death. If it wasn't for him passing the test, he would have died long ago. After that, the top forces of the Yellow region arrived. The winged god race, the Wang family, and the other heavenly god race forces arrived. I understand. Yu Chongkong calmly replied. His expression was the same as before, there were no fluctuations at all. After this news circulated out, Qin Wenyan received a voice transmission from Lei of the Luotian clan in the desolate region. She asked how the Tiandao Sacred Academy would consider this. Qin Wenyan naturally had no idea about this. Just when this storm was brewing, today, a voice rang out from the Tiandao Sacred Academy, inviting the peak geniuses of the 8 regions to gather at the Tiandao Sacred Academy. You understand that you have committed a crime worthy of death. However, your senior brother still gave you a chance. Now that you have arrived at the Tiandao Sacred Academy, there's a high possibility that you will meet the person you hate to the bone. I hope that you won't disappoint your senior brother during this trip to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The other party calmly spoke. Yu Chongkong had deceived the heavens and the earth, deceiving the Ziwei Divine Court and heavenly deities. This was a crime worthy of death. It naturally wasn't easy for him to survive. However, he was also very worried. The Tiandao Sacred Academy wanted to gather the hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms to the Sacred Academy. What sort of storm would there be? Since the Luotian clan was preparing to set off, the other hegemonic powers naturally would do the same as well. They were all going to head to the Tiandao Sacred Academy in the Mystic region. This time around, the entire world was truly shaken. The peak hegemonic powers of the various regions all headed to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Senior Brother Divine Sound, What sort of place is the legendary place of the Sacred Academy? Why does Qin Dangtian want to enter? Qin Wenyan curiously asked. There was only a single hegemonic power in the universe region. Even this hegemonic power sent someone here. Once this news circulated out, it caused a huge commotion. The Tiandao Sacred Academy had compromised. This time around, how many peak geniuses would they see? Naturally, Qin Wenyan didn't meet with Luo Shenlei. The Qin clan might descend at any moment. At this moment, how could he be too close to Luo Shenlei? If the people of the Qin clan saw him, it would be too easy for them to suspect him. He naturally understood that he would prove it to everyone. So what if it was proven that he wasn't the successor of the Time King? Those people who underestimated him would definitely regret it. The Eastern Royal Immortal Realms actually dared to break the marriage agreement. This debt he would settle it sooner or later. The Qin clan from the Heaven region finally arrived. Qin Dangtian didn't appear in the Qin clan. Those who came were all peak world overlords. Although he was the Heaven son now and was the symbol of the Qin clan, in truth, other than him, there were also many other shocking geniuses from the various branches of the Qin clan. It was just that their radiance was overshadowed by him. He, Qin Dangtian, had already become famous throughout the 8 regions of the supreme ancient immortal realms. After that, the peak powers of the Heaven region and Earth region gathered in Daoask City. For a period of time, the seemingly calm Daoask City was actually about to erupt with a shocking storm. Luo Shenlei told Qin Wenyan that she would be heading to the Tiandao Sacred Academy together with some experts from the Luoshan clan. After learning this news, Qin Wenyan felt some joy in his heart. He would be able to see Lei again. Everyone in the world was paying attention to this, including the 8 regions. They wanted to know how this storm would develop. What ending would the Tiandao Sacred Academy face? Qin Wenyan learned from Luo Shenlei's message that not only did she come, a few other world overlords from the Luoshan clan with extremely outstanding talent also came. All of them came here for the same purpose, to enter the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The Tiandao Sacred Academy has never experienced such a huge storm before. Everyone knew that the sacred ground located in Daoask City of the Mystic region would soon face an unprecedented crisis. If this was the case, would they also have a chance to enter the legendary place? It was like if the Tiandao Sacred Academy still refused to compromise, the various peak powers might force the Tiandao Sacred Academy to disintegrate, not allowing it to continue existing. A huge storm also occurred within the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Clearly, the disciples of the Sacred Academy didn't expect that the Tiandao Sacred Academy would release such news, wanting the geniuses of the world to gather at the Sacred Academy. What were they trying to do? After chatting for a while longer, Qin Wenyan bade farewell and left. For the next period of time, the disciples of the Tiandao Sacred Academy all sensed the change in the atmosphere of the Sacred Academy. It was different from the past and there was some pressure. Many people were waiting to see how things would develop in the future. Clearly, this matter has not concluded yet. Right now, the Tiandao Sacred Academy seemed to have no choice but to make a compromise. At the Heaven Equal Lodge, there were 2 figures staring in the direction of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Other than that heavenly deity junior brother, Yu Changkong's figure was also standing behind him. However, the Daoask Lodge was in a difficult position. Next, there might be experts from the various hegemonic powers coming here. All of them were hegemonic powers, but the seats at the top were limited. If the other hegemonic powers were to stay at the bottom, what would they think? In the western region of the supreme ancient immortal realms, a group of reverends from the Buddhist sect arrived in the universe region. Each of them had a transcendent aura and came from the land of bliss, cultivating the Buddhist Tao. After them was the heavenly deity mountain. The 3 hegemonic powers of the mystic region were the first to arrive. Other than them, many experts from the hegemonic powers of the mystic region also arrived. However, they understood that although they were from the hegemonic powers, they could only be spectators this time around. The main characters wouldn't be them. The major powers of the desolate region also arrived. They were the Luoshan clan, Divine Ox clan and Demon God Mountain. Since the Luoshan clan arrived, It meant that Luo Xinlei had arrived as well. Qin Wenyin was the first to receive the news because the moment Luo Xinlei entered the city, she immediately sent him a message. When has there ever been such a grand scene in Daoask City? All the hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms gathered here. Tiandao's Sacred Academy was a hegemonic power of the mystic region. The first to arrive was naturally one of the three hegemonic powers of the mystic region. The Ziwei Divine Court soon arrived and they directly stayed at the Daoask Lodge. The Daoask Lodge was the best inn in Daoask City. They naturally stayed there. Without a doubt, the Daoask Lodge had given the heaven-equal lodge to the Ziwei Divine Court. This voice waited for the response of many hegemonic powers. After that, a formless tempest manifested, gushing towards the Tiandao's Sacred Academy. Daoask City fell into a frenzy. Countless people were filled with anticipation. Although the Tiandao's Sacred Academy was a sacred ground, such a grand event had never happened before. The hegemonic powers of the 8 regions of the supreme ancient immortal realms might all come to Tiandao's Sacred Academy. How great of a storm would this cause? A storm was brewing in the Tiandao's Sacred Academy. However, the people leading the group this time around were all world overlords. Not a single heavenly deity appeared. Naturally, everyone understood that this dispute was caused by heavenly deities. They were all watching everything from behind the scenes. Among the experts from the Ziwei Divine Court, the person leading the way was a junior apprentice brother of a heavenly deity. This person was none other than the hegemonic world overlord Qin Wenyin met before at the convention of the Myriad Realms, the martial uncle of Yu Changkong. In the Luotian clan, other than Lei, who else would come? Most probably, he would meet many of his mother's relatives. Since it's a legendary place, how would I know? Although I've cultivated in the Sacred Academy for countless years, I've never entered it before. This is the greatest secret of Tiandao's Sacred Academy. Maybe, only teacher and a few heavenly deities know the truth. Divine Sound replied. Qin Wenyin silently sighed in his heart at how mysterious the legendary place of Tiandao's Sacred Academy was. Even his senior apprentice brother Divine Sound knew nothing about it. Most probably, the vast majority of people in the Tiandao's Sacred Academy were the same. Within the Sacred Academy, Qin Wenyin received news every day about which hegemonic powers had arrived. The entire Tiandao's Sacred Academy was under incomparable pressure. The Sacred Academy invited hegemonic powers from all over the world. What was their purpose exactly? To the people from the Tiandao's Sacred Academy, this definitely wasn't a good thing. After that, the people from the Great Devil Divine Palace arrived. However, they didn't stay in the Daoask Lodge. They knew that the highest level of the Daoask Lodge was occupied by the Ziwei Divine Court. How could they be willing to stay below the Ziwei Divine Court? If they wanted to compete, it would be meaningless. Hence, they didn't head to the Daoask Lodge and chose to stay in another inn instead. This matter caused the Daoask Lodge to feel a headache. Countless people started to feel anticipation. Chapter 1827. Today, the 3 heavenly deities of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy gathered all the students under them. Qin Wenyin was a student under Dugu deity. He was naturally present as well. Before the Divine Dao platform, the most outstanding world overlord students of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy were all gathered here. Right now, experts from all over the world were gathered here. The storm was brewing and the Tiandao's Sacred Academy was about to welcome an unprecedented storm. Most probably, the heavenly deities of the Sacred Academy gathered everyone here because they had something important to instruct them. All of you have cultivated in the Tiandao's Sacred Academy for many years. For some of you, you can't even remember how long it has been. For some of you, it has been at least tens of years. But now, the Tiandao's Sacred Academy is about to face a calamity. We gathered all of you here because we have something important to instruct you all. At this moment, the oldest heavenly deity spoke. His title was the Life-Governed Heavenly Deity. All the students listened quietly. The Life-Governed Heavenly Deity continued, "All of you should know that not long ago, Qin Dangun came to the Sacred Academy and provoked the 3 of us. He is very powerful and his purpose is to obtain the legendary place of our Sacred Academy. However, that legendary place isn't like what the people of the world think it is. When the legendary place is opened to the people of the world, the supreme ancient immortal realms would welcome a huge change. The hearts of many people trembled. The opening of the legendary place would actually cause a huge change in the supreme ancient immortal realms? What sort of place was that exactly? Heaven's Sun Qin Dang Tian, the Ziwei Divine Court, and the Heavenly Deity Mountain are exerting pressure on our Tiandao Sacred Academy. In fact, even the peak powers of the other regions have spoken out. Their intentions are obvious. There are many disciples cultivating in our sacred academy, and some of them are from the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Naturally, there might be geniuses from the peak powers who came here in disguise. In the past, our Tiandao Sacred Academy didn't want to bother about this. But I understand that some things happening in the Tiandao Sacred Academy can't be hidden from the other regions. The life-governed heavenly deity stared at everyone. He then continued, hence, Tiandao Sacred Academy decided to gather all the experts from the 8 regions. Since things will come sooner or later, we might as well take the initiative to face them. Since they want to compete, our Tiandao Sacred Academy will allow more people to participate. In that case, it would be more difficult for those with ulterior motives to achieve their goals. But in truth, I still hope that the ones who would be able to achieve success in the legendary place would be all of you. The life-governed heavenly deity's words seem to be interrupting the heavenly deity's plan to let everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms enter as well. He wanted them to compete against the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms, placing all their hopes on them. Life-governed heavenly deity, I still don't understand. Why don't you let us enter the legendary place directly? Why do you want to gather everyone here? Someone asked in puzzlement. I've already said it earlier. The things that happened in the Sacred Academy cannot be hidden from the eyes and ears of everyone in the world. Even if we let all of you enter, the experts from the various regions would surely descend upon the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Qin Dang Tian and the others wouldn't give up. This is one of the reasons. The life-governed heavenly deity spoke. As for the more important reason, it is because this is the command given by the headmaster. Since it is the headmaster's command, it must be correct. After you all enter, I'm sure you will understand. I'm not sure as well because even the 3 of us have never entered the legendary place of the Sacred Academy before. Even the 3 heavenly deities didn't enter. The hearts of everyone trembled. The bewitching words of the outside world caused people's hearts to waver. The people of the world suspect that our Tiandao Sacred Academy is selfish, and even the most outstanding disciples of the Sacred Academy aren't allowed to enter. How laughable! In truth, even us heavenly deities have no idea what the legendary place looks like. Heaven deity Dugu coldly spoke. Some people felt ashamed in their hearts. Indeed, after the bewitching words circulated around, many disciples of the Sacred Academy had different thoughts in their hearts. Dugu, forget it. The life-governed heavenly deity spoke. The people of the world are like this, what's there to be resentful about? Today, I gathered all of you here because I have an important message for you. This is something the headmaster instructed me to tell you. After you enter the legendary place, no matter what you experience, you must remember to guard your heart. If not, you will be consigned to eternal damnation. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Seems like the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy wasn't like what many people imagined. It wasn't some holy land for cultivation where one would be able to attain the Tao the moment they entered. That place might be an extremely dangerous place. If not, the headmaster wouldn't have intentionally told the life-governed heavenly deity to warn them. Everyone nodded silently, memorizing these words. The mysterious headmaster of the Tiandao Sacred Academy must have a deeper meaning behind his words. They naturally had to remember them. Alright, you guys can go now. The life-governed heavenly deity waved his hand as everyone departed. Not long after the incident at the Tiandao Sacred Academy, news circulated out in the outside world. The reason why the Tiandao Sacred Academy gathered all the geniuses in the world was because they were preparing to allow them to enter the legendary place together. This matter caused an uproar once again. since Qin Dang Tian and the others said that the Tiandao Sacred Academy was too selfish and didn't deserve to be known as a place that teaches the Tao. In that case, the Tiandao Sacred Academy seemed to be replying to them. What does it mean to teach the Tao? Since all of you want to enter, all supreme geniuses in the world can enter. And as expected, not long after this news circulated out, the Tiandao Sacred Academy gathered all the major powers in Daoask City to enter the Sacred Academy. Today, the attention of the entire world was focused on this. Outside the Heavenly Tao stairway, the number of people gathered was even more compared to when Qin Dangtian paid a visit to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Both the sky and the ground were filled with people. But even so, the direction where the Heavenly Tao stairway was facing, there was still a passageway that no one wanted to enter. This passageway was meant for the hegemonic characters of the various powers in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Today, the heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy led their disciples to the top of the Heavenly Tao stairway to welcome the arrival of the experts from the various powers. They are here. Someone spoke. From afar, a vast number of experts arrived. They were divided into different camps. However, the strength of each camp was so strong that it caused the hearts of people to tremble. Heavenly deities led the way. The others were all world overlords. Before this, those heavenly deities who didn't follow them also appeared today, entering the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Such a grand era, as heavenly deities, how could they miss it? The Ziwei Divine Court has arrived. Countless people turned their gazes to the experts from the Ziwei Divine Court. The person in the lead exuded a lofty aura. It was none other than a heavenly deity. The people behind him were all clad in violet constellation robes, exuding an incomparably imposing aura. They were the hegemons of the mystic region. With a stomp of their feet, they could cause the entire mystic region to tremble. Qin Wenyan stared at the people from the Ziwei Divine Court. He actually saw Yu Changkong, as well as the major character from the Ziwei Divine Court that day. He felt somewhat curious. Back then when he exposed Yu Changkong's identity, he thought that the Ziwei Divine Court and Donghuang clan wouldn't spare him so easily. He even dared to lie to a heavenly deity. How great of a crime was this? However, Yu Changkong was actually still in the Ziwei Divine Court. Not only was he alive, he was also standing behind that heavenly deity. This clearly indicated that his status was extraordinary. Yu Changkong also saw Qin Wenyan with a single glance. Compared to Qin Wenyan's surprise, Yu Changkong's eyes flashed with extreme hatred, as well as an intense killing intent. Although he was alive, the pain he experienced was something that Qin Wenyan wouldn't understand. He wanted Qin Wenyan to die. Staring at the unmasked killing intent in Yu Changkong's eyes, compared to the hypocrisy in the past, the Yu Changkong now was more direct. However, after being exposed by him, Yu Changkong actually hated him so much? How ridiculous! Back then, Yu Changkong pretended to be the successor of the Time King and wanted to kill him. Yet, Yu Changkong still couldn't expose him? The experts from the Great Devil Divine Palace have arrived. A voice rang out from the crowd. A group of experts exuded an extremely tyrannical devil aura, exuding an unparalleled might. The person in the lead was naturally a heavenly deity. After that, the experts from the various powers arrived one after another. They were all peak characters of the 8 regions. Today, all of them came for the sake of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. From this, one could see how attractive the legendary place was to the people of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wenyan sighed silently in his heart. Although the heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy have never entered the legendary place before, the various powers most probably knew some secrets regarding the legendary place. If not, they wouldn't have gathered here because of a single sentence from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. It was unknown how many powerful characters there were in the crowd. Everyone in the world stared at these people who came. Qin Wenyan turned his gaze to the Luotian clan. Luo Shenlei also glanced in his direction, silently smiling at Qin Wenyan. Qin Wenyan also surveyed the people around Luo Shenlei. The person in the lead of the Luotian clan was an old heavenly deity. It was unknown what relationship this old deity had with the Luotian clan. Other than the Luotian clan, Qin Wenyan was also paying attention to the Qin clan. There was no surprise that the heavenly deity in the lead was none other than Heaven's son Qin Dangtian. Although he wasn't old, his status was already extraordinary. The three heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy stepped out and came to the top of the stairs. They stared at everyone and spoke, "Everyone, it's the honor of my Tiandao Sacred Academy to gather here." The Tiandao Sacred Academy is extremely famous and is a place that teaches the Tao. This poor monk and the others have always been filled with admiration. Since the Sacred Academy has summoned us, how can we not come? A heavenly deity in a kasaya pressed his palms together. His tone was extremely humble, but no one knew if he was speaking the truth or not. I heard that the Tiandao Sacred Academy is gathering experts from all over the world because of the legendary place. Seems like the Tiandao Sacred Academy has already reached an agreement, allowing the heroes of the world to gather here? A heavenly deity from the Ziwei Divine Court spoke. Directly speaking, he couldn't be bothered to beat around the bush. "Dao friend Ziwei, why are you so impatient?" The life-governed heavenly deity laughed. "Since everyone can't wait any longer, please enter the Sacred Academy." These words undoubtedly agreed to the heavenly deity's words. All the experts lifted their feet and walked up the stairway, moving towards the Sacred Academy. The heavenly deity from the Tiandao Sacred Academy led the way. A group of peak characters from the supreme ancient immortal realms respectively entered the Sacred Academy, moving towards the depths of the Sacred Academy. In the outside world, countless experts were staring in anticipation. Experts from all over the world gathered here to enter the legendary place of the Sacred Academy. This time around, what sort of waves would occur? Chapter 1828. Tiandao Sacred Academy was a place covered in dust. Usually, no one would be able to enter. But now, the entrance to this place was opened. The three heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy led many experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms here. Up ahead, in the air, a supreme Tao might could be felt. It was like a tribulation of heavenly Tao. Wind and clouds howled as lightning flashed. It was like the scene of doomsday. However, in this terrifying scene, one could faintly see a sacred ground at the end of the tribulation. Is this the legendary place? The heavenly deities of the various powers stared at the sacred ground. Even as heavenly deities, they had only heard of the legends and had never entered before. Although there were rumors that the Tiandao Sacred Academy only allowed core disciples to enter, they knew that even within the Tiandao Sacred Academy, no one had ever entered before. Now, the headmaster of the Tiandao Sacred Academy must have entered the legendary place before. It was rumored that it was extremely difficult to reach the other side of the legendary place. One had to undergo tribulation to reach it. It was rumored that there were some extremely terrifying existences sealed within. Its history even surpassed the history of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. This is the entrance to the legendary place. Everyone, if you all wish to enter, feel free to do so. Since everyone in the world says that our Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy is selfish and unworthy of the name of imparting knowledge, we shall open the sacred gate today. The life-governed heavenly deity spoke. It's just that I have to remind everyone that the three of us have never entered before. The headmaster once reminded us that although the three of us are heavenly deities, if we enter, our Tao hearts might become unstable and we might lose our foundations. If you all wish to enter, feel free to do so, but you will have to bear the consequences. Since the sacred gate has been opened, as heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, how can we not enter? A heavenly deity from the Ziwei Divine Court spoke, his expression sharp. Tao friend Ziwei must be joking. We originally didn't have any plans to enter. Today, it was the Ziwei Divine Court and many other powers that strongly requested our Tiandao Sacred Academy to open the gate to the sacred ground. Now that my Tiandao Sacred Academy has done so, could it be that you want me to accompany you all in? The life-governed heavenly deity coldly laughed. The eyes of the heavenly deity from the Ziwei Divine Court gleamed with coldness as wariness flashed in his eyes. Since this is the case, the people from the Tiandao Sacred Academy can enter first. If you wanted to come, you would have been the ones forcing it. Yet now you're acting so cowardly and cowardly. You're disgracing our divine might. The life-governed heavenly deity mocked. He turned his gaze to the disciples of Tiandao's sacred academy. You guys can enter. No matter what happens, there's no need to be too shocked. Just remember what I said to you all. Yes. Everyone nodded. The group of people from the Tiandao's sacred academy walked forward. Qin Wenin, Divine Sound, Jian Qin, Devilox and the other geniuses from the Tiandao Sacred Academy were among them. They walked towards the sacred ground step by step. In the air, a terrifying Dao might bore down on them, engulfing them within. An irresistible force directly penetrated their bodies. This was the Dao might of an inconceivable deity. There was no way to break it. Qin Wenin was among them as well. He only felt a supreme might descending upon him, wanting to destroy everything he originally had. It was like he was undergoing a baptism. He wanted to struggle, but he was powerless to do so. A voice that seemed to originate from the primordial era rang out in his mind. After that, his body was engulfed by the void, vanishing from sight. My Tiandao Sacred Academy wouldn't harm our disciples, right? Everyone, please enter. However, I have to remind you all again. No matter what happens, you all have to bear the consequences. Don't blame the blame on my Tiandao Sacred Academy. All heavenly deities have already obtained the heavenly Dao. I advise you all to be more cautious and not enter. The life-governed heavenly deity continued. I truly want to see what sort of power this is. Qin Dangtian stepped out. His long robes fluttered in the wind as a halo of Dao surrounded him. Many ancient characters contained an unexcelled Dao might within them. The disciples of the Qin clan followed behind him, stepping into the Dao might. In an instant, the Dao might bore down on Qin Dangtian. Qin Dangtian's body abruptly soared up into the air as the ancient characters around him radiated frenziedly, rushing towards the might of the heavenly Dao. However, a divine energy that couldn't be profaned appeared in the air, engulfing everything. The ancient characters within them were all destroyed. Even though they contained the great Dao, a powerful might ignored the ancient characters and penetrated Qin Dangtian's body. At this moment, Qin Dangtian's expression drastically changed. You want to cripple my Dao? He did his best to resist, releasing the power of his bloodline as the might of his Dao bone erupted forth. In an instant, his divine Dao grew even stronger. Many ancient characters wanted to fuse into one, protecting him. At the same time, a gigantic ancient character of Kill manifested in the air, soaring up into the sky, wanting to destroy the heavenly Dao. As for the people of the Qin clan, they were already powerless to resist. Their bodies vanished, leaving only Qin Dangtian standing proudly in the air, as though he was fighting against the heavenly Dao. This scene was extremely breathtaking, causing many world overlords to feel a sense of longing in their hearts. Even for heavenly deities, they couldn't help but sigh in admiration at how powerful Qin Dangtian was. But even so, it was useless. In the air, several inconceivable waves of divine might manifested. It was like heaven and earth were angered. A beam of light pierced through the air, directly penetrating through the ancient characters and shooting towards Qin Dangtian. A terrifying beam of light radiated forth, causing the heavens and earth to be destroyed. After that, everyone only saw Qin Dangtian actually retreating. His aura fluctuated, but his eyes were filled with disdain as he stared ahead. If the Tiandao Sacred Academy dares to plot against the people of the immortal realms, it will definitely be razed to flat ground. Qin Dangtian stared at the life-governed heavenly deity as he spoke. How laughable! You are the one who wants to enter, but you don't dare to. You even dare to threaten my sacred academy. No matter how powerful the Qin clan is, if they want to destroy the sacred academy, how would your Qin clan be able to live in peace? The life-governed heavenly deity coldly spoke. Qin Dangtian coldly snorted. Before this, he really wanted to enter the legendary place to take a look. But now that the Tiandao Sacred Academy has truly opened its doors, he actually felt some trepidation. Earlier, that surge of energy wanted to destroy his Dao. Why don't he first observe the people who want to enter the sacred academy before deciding if he wants to enter or not? For heavenly deities, their daos have already been formed. They naturally wouldn't take risks easily. When the various heavenly deities saw that Qin Dang Tian didn't want to enter, they brought their world overlords over and entered as well. Many experts had wariness in their hearts as they stepped into the tempest. After that, all of them vanished from sight. Lei, do you really want to enter? An elder of the Luotian clan asked Luotian Lei. Luotian Lei nodded. Her gaze was filled with determination. Although her cultivation base was weaker compared to the others, this was a chance for her to enter no matter what. The person who crippled her father was already so powerful, she mustn't rely on others. She needed to enter the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. For the experts of the 8 regions, other than heavenly deities, all the geniuses and world overlords of the 8 regions entered. They had no idea what sort of place the legendary place of the Heavenly Dao Sacred Academy was and what would be waiting for them there. After Qin Wenyan entered, he felt an uncontrollable energy invading his body. In an instant, everything about him seemed to vanish into nothingness. His cultivation base, everything vanished in an instant. After that, he felt that he had entered another world. In this place, he suddenly had many memories. He was born in this world and grew up in this world. This place was the world of reincarnation. In the world of reincarnation, on a majestic palace, Qin Wendian stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He was still the same as he was in the past. In fact, his past memories and insights were all present. It was just that his cultivation base and astral souls were gone. In the world of reincarnation, he could sense many different types of attribute energies. In fact, he didn't even need to rely on astral souls. From the time he was born until now, only an instant had passed. However, those memories truly existed. It was like he had just arrived in this world, but now, there were several tens of years of memories in his mind. Qin Wentian's name in the world of reincarnation was still Qin Wenyan. He was born in the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan. The dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan had 2 branches and they were equal in power. What's going on exactly? What sort of place is the legendary place exactly? Qin Wendian asked himself. Although the heavenly deity of the Tiandao Sacred Academy reminded him not to be shocked no matter what happened, how could he not be shocked? He had clearly just entered the legendary place, but he already had several tens of years of memories in his mind. It was like he was someone who grew up here. Could the world of reincarnation be the legendary place? You must have many questions on your mind right now, right? At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out in Qin Wentian's mind. His eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared in the air. Who is it? This place is the world of reincarnation. I'm a deity who was sealed here. Now that the world of reincarnation has been opened, many of you have already entered. Next, all of you need to grow stronger quickly and eliminate your opponents in the world of reincarnation. You are born in the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan and have a heavenly advantage. Do you need me to help you? The voice contained hints of bewitchment. Qin Wenyan furrowed his brows. A deity who was sealed in the world of reincarnation? Was the legendary place the world of reincarnation? To think that a deity was actually sealed in this place. How can you help me? Qin Wendian asked. I'll impart to you the Tao of cultivation. That ethereal voice rang out in Qin Wentian's mind again. What Tao? Qin Wendian asked again. After that, a formless energy directly entered his mind. Qin Wendian frowned. It was actually the Tao of men and women, borrowing the power of women to improve himself. Qin Wendian shook his head. I don't know how to cultivate this Tao. You don't have to come to a conclusion so early. I know that there are several other supreme beauties who entered the world of reincarnation. Could it be that you are not moved by them? That voice was filled with evil as it continued. In the future, if you cultivate it, I will naturally appear again. Qin Wentian frowned. This evil existence sealed in the world of reincarnation actually knew of all the people who entered the world of reincarnation. In that case, wouldn't he be able to find others as well? Even if he didn't cultivate, there would be others who would. In addition, there might be other existences sealed in the world of reincarnation. Young master, young master? At this moment, an agitated voice rang out. A serving girl dashed over, clearly extremely agitated. Chiu, what's the matter? Qin Wendian asked. In his memories, this serving girl's name was Chiu and she had taken care of him for several years. Young master, Nikang, Miss Nikang is here. Chiu called out in agitation. Qin Wentian's expression froze. Nikang? Goddess Nikang? In the world of reincarnation, could it be that he was going to encounter someone he knew? In that case, if this was really Goddess Nikang, what role did she play in the world of reincarnation? Chapter 1829. Qin Wenyin followed the serving girl Autumn Rain and came to a great hall. There were people chatting, and the middle-aged man sitting in the host's seat was none other than Qin Wentian's father in the world of reincarnation, Qin Ruhai. In fact, in Qin Wentian's heart, there was a faint trace of familial love. He knew that this was given to him by the memories of the past tens of years. Those memories were equivalent to him living in this world for tens of years. Below him there were two guests. One of them exuded magnificence and was so beautiful that it caused people to feel stifled. When Qin Wentian saw her, his gaze froze. Goddess Nikang, it was actually Goddess Nikang. Goddess Nikang also saw Qin Wentian, but her beautiful eyes were calm. At this moment, Qin Ruhai spoke. Wentian, quickly come over and greet Uncle Chu. Qin Wentian hesitated a little. But when he thought that since he was already in the world of reincarnation, he should accept it and treat this as a tempering experience. He walked up and called out to the middle-aged man, Uncle Chu, not bad. The middle-aged man nodded and smiled. This is Nikang, her age is similar to Wentian's. What do you think of her appearance? Qin Wentian glanced at Goddess Nikang and felt a little strange. But he still replied, her appearance can shock the world. This sentence isn't considered an exaggeration. It's just a pity that Nikang is the same as you, unable to cultivate even now. The middle-aged man spoke with some regret. Nikang, you and Wentian should go out for a walk. I haven't met your Uncle Qin for many years and I have some things to talk about. Goddess Nikang stood up and calmly glanced at Qin Wentian. After that, she walked out. Qin Wentian followed behind her. The serving girl stood outside, and when she saw her young master walking out with Nikang, a smile appeared on her face and she didn't disturb them. The two of them came to an empty space where a gentle breeze blew. Neither of them spoke. Regardless of Qin Wentian or Goddess Nikang, both of them were still adapting to their new identities. My real name is Chu Nikang. Goddess Nikang suddenly spoke. Her beautiful eyes slowly turned to Qin Wentian as curiosity flashed in her eyes. She then asked, why are you from the dual faction Qin aristocrat clan? How would I know? Qin Wentian replied. From this sentence, he could be sure that Goddess Nikang was the same as him, entering the world of reincarnation from the outside world. The dual faction Qin aristocrat clan is equally famous. Their ancestors were a pair of blood brothers. If the world of reincarnation truly has a connection with the outside world, one of the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan should be the Qin clan. Coincidentally, my grandfather was acquainted with someone from the Qin clan. If the world of reincarnation is connected to the outside world, then Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes gleamed with light. If this was the case, Qin Wentian was also born in the Qin clan? Perhaps all of this is just an illusion. The reason why I was born in the Qin clan is because my surname is Qin. Qin Wentian replied. But in truth, great waves rose in his heart when he heard Goddess Nichang's words. Could the world of reincarnation truly have a connection with the outside world? Goddess Nikang glanced at Qin Wentian when she heard his words. After that, she turned and departed. Maybe this was a coincidence. With regards to Qin Wentian, she didn't have a deep impression of him. She only knew that he came from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Qin Wentian stared at Goddess Nichang's back as a look of contemplation appeared on his face. If there really was a connection between the two worlds, wasn't the creator of the world of reincarnation too terrifying? He even knew about fate and knew that Qin Wenin was from the Qin clan. He started to ponder about cultivation again. He could clearly sense the energy in this world. The various attribute energies were all extremely dense, especially for the attribute energies he had cultivated before. They were like motes of light floating around him. This indicated that he would be able to swiftly form a connection with them and start his path of cultivation. According to his memories, the martial path in the world of reincarnation was completely different from the outside world. There were Hotian realm, Xiantian realm, and deity realm. The dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan was a deity realm power. If the world of reincarnation is truly a test, I have to improve myself first in this world. Qin Wendian silently mused. After that, he headed to the scripture depository of his clan. Although he had tens of years of memories, he didn't have much in terms of cultivation. He needed to improve himself as quickly as possible. Qin Wendian browsed through the ancient scrolls in the scripture depository as he started his cultivation. 3 months later, in the Qin clan, Qin Wendian sat on a cultivation platform. His entire body shone with light as various attribute energies manifested. The energy of heaven and earth resonated with his body, forming a golden, indestructible body that towered up into the clouds. The phenomenon here alarmed the people in the clan. Many people glanced over, and when they saw Qin Wentian's body resonating with the heavens and earth, they all had looks of shock on their faces. "My son has supreme talent." Qin Ruhai's voice trembled. Young master comprehended the Tao in a single day and broke through to the Xiantian realm. The beautiful eyes of the serving girl Autumn Rain went into a daze. In the past, she had only heard of such a legend, but she didn't expect that it would actually happen before her eyes. She felt like she was in a dream. Qin Wendian opened his eyes. He could sense the energy in his body, as well as the compatibility he had with the energy of heaven and earth. His expression was as calm as usual. The Xiantian realm was equivalent to the immortal realm, immortal foundation, and immortal king realm. Right now, Qin Wendian was already comparable to a world overlord. In this mysterious world of reincarnation, it wasn't difficult for him to comprehend the Tao in a single day. Given his own strength, he believed that many people would be able to do it. The energy in the world of reincarnation was very wondrous. It was different from before. There was no need for one to cultivate step by step. This seemed to be a transformation of energy, transforming the insights one gained in the external world into the energy of one's cultivation base in the world of reincarnation. The news of Qin Wendian breaking through to the Xiantian realm in a single day circulated through the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan. In that faction, there were 3 people from the external world who came to the world of reincarnation. All of them were from the Qin clan and have already been in the world of reincarnation for several months. They naturally heard of Qin Wentian's name and felt somewhat unhappy in their hearts. Although Qin Wendian had some fame in the convention of the myriad realms in the mystic region, what qualifications did he have to be born in the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan like them? In addition, they had interacted with goddess Nikhang before. Goddess Nichang's father had also brought her here to pay a visit. In the external world, they could only look up to the number 1 beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang. Maybe, only the heaven's son of their clan would have the qualifications to covet her. They didn't dare to have any improper thoughts, but in this world, the heaven's son didn't exist. They were the core members of the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan because their hearts were stirring. The 3 of them also knew the importance of cultivation. They comprehended the martial Tao in the world of reincarnation, and very soon, they were the same as Qin Wendian, breaking through to the Xiantian realm in a single day, causing a huge commotion in the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan. Today, the 3 of them gathered together and bewitched their elders, preparing to eliminate the other faction of the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan. In the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan, the other faction was originally the most powerful. Also, the 2 factions had long been unhappy with each other. Upon hearing the bewitching words of their juniors, the people of the other faction all agreed. Hence, Qin Wendian, who was still quietly cultivating in his clan, suddenly felt the might of doomsday. "Elder brother, what do you mean by this?" Qin Wentian's father, Qin Ruhai, soared into the air as he coldly spoke. At this moment, this faction was already surrounded by the other factions. Qin Rahai, the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan doesn't sound good. Are you all willing to join my faction? From now on, there will only be a single Qin clan in this world. An expert stared below as he spoke. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. History was actually so shocking. Was it going to play out in this world of reincarnation? Elder brother, aren't you going too far by doing this? Qin Ruhai roared. The expert in the air had a cold expression on his face. He waved his hand and a moment later, an army descended from the sky. An internal battle between the two Qin aristocrat clans had erupted from here. Qin Wenian felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. He didn't expect that in this world of reincarnation, history would repeat itself. In the air, the three experts from the Qin clan who came from the outside world coldly stared at Qin Wenian. After that, their figures flashed as they rushed towards Qin Wenian. Although Qin Wenian wanted to protect his clan, he knew that his current cultivation base was simply insufficient. His silhouette flashed as he sped away like a great rock. Behind him, screams of agony and misery rang out unceasingly. Although Qin Wenian didn't have deep feelings for the Qin aristocrat clan, his heart was cold and filled with an intense killing intent. A world overlord from the Qin clan directly acted against him. Bizizi, a figure as majestic as a mountain stood before Qin Wenian, blocking his pursuers. This person was none other than Qin Ruhai. He inclined his head and spoke, Let's go. Qin Wenian stared at that majestic back view as his heart stirred. He clenched his fists tightly, causing crisp cracking sounds to ring out. Go, remember to take revenge. Qin Ruhai roared in rage. Qin Wenian decisively turned and fled into the distance. Behind him, screams of agony rang out unceasingly. The place he grew up in the world of reincarnation was currently being slaughtered and razed to flat ground. Everything felt like a dream. He also truly felt the cruelty of the world of reincarnation. The disciples of the Qin clan wanted to kill him. These people had the same bloodline as him. In the world of reincarnation, the dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan was annihilated and their clan was razed to flat ground. At this moment, this news shocked the entire world of reincarnation. Although Qin Wenian was fleeing for his life, he felt a torment in his heart. He actually chose to leave just like that? Was it because he didn't truly treat the people here as his family? However, they actually treated him as their closest kin. Qin Wenian felt agony in his heart. Those three experts from the Qin clan, their silhouettes flashed through Qin Wentian's mind as his killing intent grew sharper. Qin Wenian had extraordinary experiences in the world of reincarnation. But there were others who experienced things even more painful than him. Yu Changkong. When he entered the world of reincarnation, his identity was a disciple of the Moon God Hall. However, because he couldn't cultivate, he was banished to the streets and suffered all sorts of humiliation. In fact, even beggars would humiliate him and beat him up. When Yu Changkong was in the Ziwei Divine Court, he already had an inhumane experience. He endured it and silently sensed the energy of heaven and earth. Until today, when the night sky was as dark as ink, a group of beggars returned. When they saw Yu Changkong sitting there, they spat at him. Some of them kicked him while cursing, "Trash." Yu Changkong opened his eyes. At this moment, his eyes were deathly gray and cold to the extreme. His gaze instantly caused the beggars' hearts to tremble violently. After that, Yu Changkong opened his mouth and abruptly inhaled. A terrifying, devouring energy manifested, causing those beggars to sink into a state of extreme terror. Their essence, qi, and souls were being devoured frenziedly. Their entire bodies rapidly withered and finally, they transformed into a pile of bones. Chapter 1830. Yu Changkong returned to the Moon God Hall, the place where he was born in the world of reincarnation. After his father learned that Yu Changkong comprehended the Tao and broke through to the Xiantian realm, he accepted him. He sighed, "Chung, back then we sent you away because we had no choice. You should also understand what sort of power the moon god Hall is. You who have no cultivation base would only suffer humiliation here. Your son understands. Yu Changkong respectfully spoke. A warm smile could be seen on his face. Father and son were reunited. They were naturally extremely happy. For people from the Ziwei divine court entered the world of reincarnation. Other than Yu Changkong, there were 3 others. One of them was his martial uncle and the other 2 were rankers on the heavenly Tao rankings of the mystic region. In the world of reincarnation, they came from the same power, the moon god Hall. Everything seemed to be predestined. The world of reincarnation seemed to be able to sense their fates. At this moment, the 4 experts of the Ziwei divine court gathered together. That heavenly deity junior brother, Yu Changkong's martial uncle spoke. The moon god Hall seems to correspond to the Ziwei divine court in the outside world. The cultivation here is completely different from the outside world, but there are some similarities. Is it to allow us to comprehend another Tao in the world of reincarnation? But where is that sacred land? Could it be that the world of reincarnation is a legendary place, using our lives to test us? Since the world of reincarnation corresponds to the outside world, we have to grow stronger quickly and trample the other powers beneath our feet. An expert on the heavenly Tao rankings spoke. Martial uncle and my 2 senior brothers are all supreme geniuses. We will naturally be able to do so. Yu Changkong bowed. You can't say that. For those who entered the world of reincarnation, there are no weaklings. All of them are extremely strong. Changkong, since you returned to the moon god Hall, your strength should be extraordinary. Why don't you and I give it a try? Yu Changkong's martial uncle spoke. How can Changkong be a match for martial uncle? Yu Changkong bowed. How would we know if we don't try? His martial uncle took a step forward as a powerful law clone appeared behind him. The surrounding energy of heaven and earth fused into it as a cold saber light flashed. Yu Changkong roared and gathered his strength to defend. However, with a thunderous boom, Yu Changkong was directly slashed through the air. His body was covered in blood as he fell to the ground. Yu Changkong climbed up with difficulty. Martial uncle's comprehension in the world of reincarnation is truly extraordinary. To be able to block one of my attacks, you're not bad yourself. His martial uncle smiled and nodded. Go ahead. Yes, Changkong will take his leave. Yu Changkong bowed and departed. The 2 rankers on the heavenly Tao rankings stared at Yu Changkong's back as disdain flashed in their eyes. I heard that he was abandoned by his clan and became a beggar, suffering all sorts of humiliation. Ultimately, he is just a lowly person. Back then, he used deceitful methods to gain the recognition of the Ziwei divine court. If it was up to me, I would have killed him long ago. I wonder why Master left him alive. Despicable people naturally have their own uses for despicable people. For the sake of becoming stronger, he is willing to do anything. You all need to be on guard against him. That martial uncle said with a smile. After Yu Changkong returned, he quietly cultivated. One day, he told his father and the other cultivators in his clan that he had a miraculous encounter outside. Hence, he brought them to a desolate ancient mountain. His father stared at him and asked, Changkong, where is the place you spoke of? Father, you once said that you were forced to expel me back then. In that case, today, I'm also forced to do the same. Yu Changkong spoke. His hands were like sharp claws that directly stabbed into his father's back. A terrifying, devouring force frenziedly absorbed the energy in his father's body into his own. Vile creature! The experts in the surroundings roared. However, Yu Changkong had a malevolent smile on his face. Father? How laughable! Wanting him to say this word, he naturally had to pay a price. A terrifying, all-devouring energy gushed forth. An evil devil law body appeared behind Yu Changkong, absorbing everything. Very swiftly, only a pile of white bones remained. After that, Yu Changkong took out his messaging crystal in this world and spoke. Martial uncle, I discovered a divine depository. However, there's an evil being guarding it. My father and the others are in trouble. The other party asked. How strong is the evil being? I will lead the way for senior brother. The evil being's strength might be on par with Martial Uncle. For safety's sake, it's best if Martial Uncle sends a group of experts over. This divine depository might be extraordinary. Yu Changkong's voice was filled with intense emotions, filled with sorrow and agitation. It was like he had completely lost his calm. "Hey, wait for me." His martial uncle transmitted his voice over. Yu Changkong kept the messaging crystal and sat down cross-legged as a strange light flashed in his eyes. After a long time, his martial uncle and 2 other rankers on the Heavenly Tao rankings arrived. They didn't bring anyone else. This was within Yu Changkong's expectations. When he saw Yu Changkong and the pile of white bones, his martial uncle frowned and asked, "Where's the divine depository and the evil being?" "Martial uncle, have you heard of this before? This world of reincarnation is a manifestation of reality. If you die here, you will truly die." Yu Changkong calmly asked. "I know." His martial uncle nodded as he stared at Yu Changkong. It's good that martial uncle understands. Since all the geniuses of the supreme ancient immortal realms have come to this world of reincarnation, this is like a test of life and death. In that case, no matter how cruel it is, I will walk all the way to the end. Those who compete with me will all die. The legendary place, the legendary person, will only be me. Martial uncle, thank you for your help. As the sound of Yu Changkong's voice faded, a law body appeared around him. That terrifying devil law body was incomparably malevolent, exuding a terrifying evil aura. The expressions of the 3 of them changed. His martial uncle coldly spoke. "You were bewitched by that evil spirit and cultivated an evil art?" "What is an evil art?" Yu Changkong calmly spoke. "There are rumors in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms that the Sacred Academy opened and the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms underwent a transformation. Since all of you want to enter this legendary place, I naturally have to become the strongest here. So what if you are rankers on the Heavenly Tao rankings? In the future, all of your strength will be used by me. Your insights will also belong to me." As the sound of his voice faded, the devil law body released numerous gray tentacles that instantly enveloped the entire sky. The expressions of the 3 of them drastically changed. They unleashed all the energy they comprehended in the world of reincarnation to resist, but it was useless. Their bodies were penetrated by the tentacles as their energy flowed frenziedly into Yu Changkong's body. At this moment, Yu Changkong seemed to have completely transformed into an evil devil. "I'm your martial uncle. If you kill me, will my senior brother spare you after we exit this place?" His martial uncle roared in terror. "If this evil devil energy is also a Tao and I can bring the insights I gained in this life back to the supreme ancient immortal realms, if there's a chance, I will definitely pay him back double for everything he made me suffer." Yu Changkong malevolently spoke. After that, he completely devoured his martial uncle's body, as well as the 2 rankers on the Heavenly Tao rankings from the Ziwei Divine Court. All of them died in the world of reincarnation. Yu Changkong drew in a deep breath, feeling very satisfied. His cold and gloomy gaze was extremely terrifying. "You said that you were sealed in this world of reincarnation. In that case, who is the master who sealed this world? The creator of this legendary place?" Yu Changkong seemed to be mumbling to himself. There was no one else in the surroundings. "You don't need to know. In any case, this isn't something the current you can imagine. What you need to do is to become stronger as much as possible. Everything you obtained in this world of reincarnation will benefit you in the future. Maybe there will be a chance for you to know who the creator of this place is." A voice rang out in Yu Changkong's mind. Yu Changkong coldly laughed and didn't continue asking. At this moment, he thought of a person. Qin Wenyan. Where would he be in this world of reincarnation? He hoped that Qin Wenyan would be stronger. Only then would he be able to provide nourishment for him. In the universe region, the eminent monks of the Western Paradise sect were in the world of reincarnation. They were also cultivating in a Buddhist sect named the Vajra Temple. There were eminent monks in the Vajra Temple, but what they believed in was the Western Paradise. That place was the true sacred ground of the Buddhist sect. Reverend Seven Abstinences was named after the 7 abstinences of the Buddhist sect. He was respected by many in the supreme ancient immortal realms and was an eminent monk. But now in the world of reincarnation, he was just an ordinary novice monk and couldn't cultivate. However, the abbot treated him very well and treated him like his own son. 7 abstinences. During these days, you have already read through all the Buddhist teachings in the Vajra temple. Now that you are bidding farewell to me, do you have any thoughts? The abbot asked the young 7 abstinences. Disciple wishes to head to the Western Paradise. 7 abstinences pressed his palms together and bowed. You should have already read about it in the ancient scriptures. If you want to reach the Western Paradise, you have to use a primordial body and pass through all sorts of tribulations. After you reach the sacred ground, you have to kowtow with every step you take. In my Vajra temple, no one has ever succeeded before. Do you still wish to head there? The abbot asked again. No matter how dangerous the path ahead is, I'm still willing to head there. 7 abstinences nodded. Right now, he could already comprehend the Buddhist Tao, but he didn't. There was also the Western Paradise in the world of reincarnation. Fine, if you want to head to the Western Paradise to seek Buddhahood, you have to follow the 7 abstinences and 10 virtues. I have a cultivation base, but I don't have your ambitions. Right now, I shall convert my cultivation base into a saraira to protect you on your journey. The abbot laughed. 7 abstinences pressed his palms together. He didn't decline. The abbot of the Vajra temple channeled all his cultivation base into the saraira. After that, he looked like an old and withered lamp as he hung the saraira around 7 abstinences' neck. Go on. The abbot spoke. 7 abstinences bowed and departed, heading towards the Western Paradise in the world of reincarnation. He had no distractions in his heart. He begged for alms along the way, abiding by the 7 abstinences and 10 virtues. He experienced many hardships and was covered in dust, but he didn't forget his original heart. The world of reincarnation was his good fortune. Since fate has arrived, he would naturally grasp it. As a true esteemed monk, how tough was his state of mind? When he was on his way there, a monk from the Vajra temple found him and told 7 abstinences that the abbot was about to die. They hoped that 7 abstinences could return to take a look at the abbot. 7 abstinences didn't turn back. He continued on his way. The monks of the Vajra temple said that his personality was cold, but there were also people who said that 7 abstinences had comprehended the true essence of the Buddhist Tao. In the world of reincarnation, every expert from the supreme ancient immortal realms had a different identity, living a different life and comprehending the Tao in this life. All of them gradually gained an epiphany. Obtaining the Tao in the world of reincarnation would definitely be extremely beneficial to their cultivation. There was once a supreme character in the supreme ancient immortal realms who chose to enter the cycle of reincarnation, seeking the insights of another life and pursuing the supreme Tao. Right now, they also had such a good opportunity. They naturally should cherish it. Chapter 1831. Seeing that we are both cultivating in the sacred academy, I will spare you this time. There's no need for this to happen again. Qin Wendian calmly spoke. After that, his silhouette flashed as he left this place. To him, Jian Chen wasn't important. Although they were both rankers on the Heavenly Tao rankings, he didn't have much interest in the rankings. He also didn't have any ambition to defeat the other rankers on the rankings. The Tao mark before him was none other than the slaughter will. That trace seemed to be able to kill the heavens. Faintly, an extremely terrifying slaughter will gushed forth, directly aiming for the spectators. For those who weren't strong enough, if they tried to comprehend here, they would suffer a backlash or even die under the might of the Tao intent. Many people were counting the Empyreans here. Someone mentioned Yu Changke. Where are you from? Qin Wendian suddenly asked. Upon seeing this scene, Jian Chen frowned. What ability was this? But if this was the case, why was everything so miraculous? He had no way to understand what sort of existence the creator of this world of reincarnation was. Jian Chen was an expert on the Heavenly Tao rankings. His strength was naturally extremely powerful. Qin Wendian didn't bother with them. He had no idea what sort of existences these fellows who were sealed in this world of reincarnation were exactly. But for his Tao, he had to rely on himself to walk it and not be controlled by others. After the aristocratic clan Qin Wenyin came from was destroyed, he wondered about this world of reincarnation. He wanted to investigate whether this world was real or not. To his astonishment, he discovered that everything in this world was so real. Here, everyone had their own stories and the accumulation of countless years of history. Outsiders like them seemed to have appeared out of thin air, affecting the order of this world of reincarnation. I'm thinking, if this place is the legendary place, how can we exit this place? Do we have to defeat all the people who entered here before we can obtain the favor of the legendary place? Jian Chen slowly spoke. Coming here, we are all at the same starting point, cultivating from zero. The competition seems to be extremely fair. You and I were both ranked on the Heavenly Tao rankings in the Sacred Academy, but because I am older than you, I didn't fight against you before. Now that both of us have the same starting point, we can verify who is stronger and who is weaker. When the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy allowed them to enter the legendary place, the heavenly deity once reminded them to guard their hearts. Hence, Qin Wenyin didn't waver in the slightest when facing those tempting voices. Also, the purpose of the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy was to prevent the people of the other major powers from obtaining the Tao here. After returning to the main city of the world of reincarnation, Qin Wenyin was drinking wine in an inn. Many people around him were discussing the major events in the world of reincarnation. Right now, many powers in the world of reincarnation have given birth to demon-level geniuses. Their cultivation speed was shocking, and it felt like they were all rising up at the same time, about to open the curtains of a new era. Jian Chen's body froze for a moment, as if time had stopped. However, in the next moment, a powerful sword might appeared in the surroundings, mincing apart the frozen spacetime. When one's comprehension reached a certain level, even the freezing of spacetime could be broken. There was no such thing as invincible power. It only depended on how powerful the user was. When Qin Wenyin thought of the destruction of his clan in this world, he felt some pain in his heart. Although he couldn't truly acknowledge Qin Ruhai as his father, to Qin Yuanfeng, he was his son. Qin Ruhai was willing to die for him. From a certain perspective, the Qin Ruhai of this world was the incarnation of Qin Yuanfeng. And now, his goal in the world of reincarnation was to gain more insights. When he returned to the supreme ancient immortal realms, he believed that all the insights he gained would belong to him as well. Insights couldn't be taken away unless he lost his memories. But from the situation in the world of reincarnation, this was clearly impossible. Jian Chen slowly stood up. He stared at Qin Wenyin as a fearsome aura gushed forth from him. After which, with a wave of his hand, bolts of lightning intersected with one another, transforming into countless X runes that tore apart the void, causing it to be dismembered into countless pieces. Qin Wenyin inclined his head and glanced at the world around him. In an instant, the entire world seemed to sink into his eyes. In the world of his eye technique, Jian Chen's energy pierced through his body, wanting to tear it apart. However, all of this seemed to be an illusion. He still stood there unscathed, completely unharmed. His goal was to become Heaven's son. He was already a heavenly deity and was a supreme existence among heavenly deities. What meaning was there in staring at the Heavenly Tao rankings? The Heavens Will World Heart was his foundation. In the Heavens Will World Heart, he could control everything. By sealing the energy of the Heavens Will World Heart into his eye technique, he could instantly seal the attacks of others into his eye technique and neutralize them. It was truly terrifying. Beside Qin Wenyin, there were many people comprehending the Tao here. One of them exuded a sharp aura. He stood on a rock and calmly stared at Qin Wenyin as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. Qin Wenyin frowned. In an instant, time and space seemed to freeze as all energy stopped flowing. In the world of reincarnation, he still chose to cultivate the energy of the past. Firstly, it was because he wanted to quickly return to his previous cultivation realm. Secondly, it was because he wanted to make use of the fact that there were no restrictions on his law attributes in the world of reincarnation. He wanted to see if he could break through again. However, now wasn't the time. His current cultivation realm was still too weak. He needed to return to his peak. In this world, he could sense all kinds of law attributes. Because of his previous life's experience, he was extremely sensitive to the law attributes he once possessed. He could easily comprehend them. After Qin Wendian left, he continued to roam the world of reincarnation. It was like he wanted to explore the entire world. If he comprehended the Tao of heavenly deities in this world, would he be able to break through after he exited this world? Although Jian Chen's energy was still manifested through his sword, it had clearly surpassed the scope of source origins. This was the manifestation of his heaven heart mandate in an innate technique. This was a tyrannical technique he learned from the tiny astral being as well as the insights he gained from his cultivation in the secret realm. At the end, he used his world heart to form a powerful innate technique. He named it as the Eye of Heaven's Will. You won't be able to do it. Qin Wendian faintly spoke. He glanced over again and in an instant, Jian Chen felt his body entering the world created by Qin Wentian's eye technique. In this world of the eye technique, countless law imprints shot over. The surrounding space-time seemed to have come to a complete standstill. At the very end, his body also froze there, unable to move. I heard that your energy is space-time. What's the use of coming here to comprehend the will of slaughter? Could it be that you have cultivated some other techniques in here? A voice rang out from the side. Qin Wendian didn't look at the person who spoke. He naturally knew who the person who spoke was. It was an expert from the supreme ancient immortal realms like him. Also, this person was someone who came from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He was none other than the descendant of the sword god, Jian Chen. Jian Chen sat there as he spoke. He didn't even move his body. His palms slashed out as boundless sword might transformed into a rune that slashed towards Qin Wendian. The might of the rune was terrifying, able to slash apart a human's body. World of Reincarnation, Southern Heaven Sword Pavilion. Jian Chen replied. Qin Wendian nodded his head silently. As expected, this was still an aristocrat clan of the Sword Dao. It was similar to when he was in the supreme ancient immortal realms. There seemed to be some sort of connection between them. There are differences in strength when comprehending the Tao. How can the starting point be the same? Qin Wendian calmly shook his head. After they came to the world of reincarnation, although they didn't have their cultivation bases and had to start from scratch, they brought with them all the insights they gained in the past. The starting point was different. Qin Wendian stood up and left. He calmly spoke. Don't forget teacher's instructions. The moon god's disciple, Yu Changkong, can be said to be the reincarnation of a deity. He has comprehended a myriad of laws and can transcend everything. Someone said that he would be able to become a deity within 1,000 years. Could it be that he took a shortcut? But now, he died together with his entire clan. When he thought of the other 3 experts of the dual-faction Qin clan, the flames of revenge burned in his heart. In the blink of an eye, many years passed in the world of reincarnation. Before an ancient mountain, Qin Wendian faced the wall and cultivated. The stone wall before him was filled with Tao marks that contained the might of the great Tao. Right now, Qin Wendian's demeanor was transcendent. His eyes were deep and the energy he gained in the outside world had already been converted back to him. In this world, he also possessed strength comparable to the hegemonic level characters back then. In that case, you are afraid of battle? Jian Chen asked. Qin Wendian started to roam the world of reincarnation. He gradually discovered that this world wasn't as vast as he had imagined. All the peak powers seemed to be existences that corresponded to the hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms, but all of them were in a single region. The world of reincarnation was like a world of its own. There's no conflict at all, Jian Chen calmly spoke. It was like he didn't see Qin Wendian leaving. At the instant his voice faded, the wind and clouds in the surroundings changed. This world seemed to have transformed into a world of swords. At this instant, Qin Wendian felt that his entire body was filled with sword intent, controlled by Jian Chen. Where his heart was, where his Tao was. This was the ability of the world overlord's world heart. Although he was in the other world, Jian Chen was still able to use it perfectly. There's hatred in your heart. These Tao marks of slaughter can aid you in comprehending the Tao of slaughter. Do you want to cultivate them? I can allow you to cultivate the art of endless slaughter and become the king of slaughter. A voice rang out in Qin Wentian's mind, filled with bewitchment. He had already heard this voice many times. Naturally, there were other voices that were trying to bewitch him, wanting him to cultivate some evil arts. Qin Wenyan cultivated for tens of years in the Tiandao Sacred Academy and entered the various secret realms. How could he not have any insights? His strength was already incomparable to when he participated in the convention of the myriad realms. That's true. He's too monstrous. I wonder how he cultivated. Someone sighed in admiration. Qin Wentian frowned when he heard Yu Changkong's name. Naturally, it wasn't because he was jealous. It was just that he felt strange. Given Yu Changkong's talent, how could he be said to have comprehended all arts? Chapter 1832. Qin Wenyan was thinking that if Yu Changkong really took a shortcut and listened to the evil spirits to cultivate evil arts, would he really have a chance to step into the heavenly deity realm? If this was the case, wouldn't it be unfair to others? If that was the case, everyone would choose to cultivate evil arts. It was extremely rare to find someone who could remain true to their heart under any circumstances. This time around, Yu Changkong is gathering experts from the various peak powers in the world of reincarnation. This would surely be a grand event. I wonder how many people would respond? Another person in the inn spoke. Qin Wentian frowned. He glanced at the person who spoke and asked, "When did this happen?" Not long ago, the Moon God Hall sent out news. Right now, given Yu Changkong's status in the Moon God Hall, even the deities would respect his opinion. That person replied. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed sharply. He naturally understood that the people Yu Changkong truly wanted to gather were those experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms who entered the world of reincarnation. This was the first time after he came to the world of reincarnation that someone called for a gathering. Clearly, Yu Changkong was very confident that he would be able to become the main character of this world of reincarnation. Back then, during the convention of the myriad realms, he once lied to everyone and used all sorts of methods to enter the Ziwei divine court. He even proposed marriage to the Donghuang clan. This person was extremely ambitious and had a despicable personality. Although he was a disciple of the Sun Moon Sacred Mountain, he still felt that his position wasn't high enough. He wanted to enter the Ziwei divine court, but now, in the world of reincarnation, he seemed to be even more successful compared to the outside world. Qin Wentian inquired about the details of this matter and gradually understood that this matter was brought about by Yu Changkong and the Qin clan. Right now, only the Qin clan was left in the world of reincarnation. Yu Changkong and the people from the Qin clan, what do they want to do? Qin Wentian mused. A few geniuses from the Qin clan were now in the Qin clan. Clearly, they had participated in this, colluding with Yu Changkong. Given the status of Yu Changkong and the other disciples of the Qin clan, they didn't have such rallying power. Among those who entered the world of reincarnation, Yu Changkong was clearly the most mediocre. There were many people with loftier statuses than him. For the three from the Qin clan, although they were outstanding, their fame was eclipsed by Qin Dongtian's halo. After Qin Wentian left the inn, he continued to gather information outside. He learned that Yu Changkong and the others were able to gather so many people because Yu Changkong and the Qin clan wanted to deal with some people. Who are you referring to by some people? This made Qin Wentian's heart a little cold. He guessed that it was probably related to him. The heaven chosen of the Moon God Hall, Yu Changkong, and the three geniuses of the Qin clan called for a gathering. The location of the gathering was none other than one of the factions in the dual-faction Qin clan that was destroyed back then. Today, the dual-faction Qin clan gathered many experts from the world of reincarnation. All of them were experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms who had entered the world of reincarnation. Because they were very clear in their hearts who Yu Changkong and the Qin clan wanted to gather. Qin Wentian was among the crowd. He came here in disguise. The people from the Qin clan wanted to kill him, and Yu Changkong most probably hated him to the bone. Hence, he naturally had to keep a low profile. He saw many familiar figures. Although he wasn't acquainted with many of them, he knew who they were. Naturally, he also saw people he was familiar with. Luo Shenlei, Goddess Nikhang, Devilox and the others. Naturally, other than a few who originated from peak powers, those from the Tiandao Sacred Academy who didn't have a background from a peak power didn't appear. Yu Changkong sat on the ruins. His aura now was even more extraordinary. His entire person radiated a layer of unfathomable aura, giving off an unfathomable feeling. At this moment, he was resting with his eyes closed. Today, I invited everyone here for two reasons. Firstly, I want to take a look at all of you. Secondly, there's another reason. Everyone should be clear about your own goals. In that case, because some people seem to have a heavenly advantage, they might know some things we don't know. Hence, should we eliminate these people first? The eyes of everyone gleamed with sharpness. Yu Changkong was truly direct. Some people, he spoke of undoubtedly referred to the cultivators from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The legendary place belonged to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. They suspected that the people from the Tiandao Sacred Academy would know many things in advance and would have an advantage over them. Everyone fell silent. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, Qin Dangtian from the Qin clan insulted the Sacred Academy. Both sides already had a grudge and it wasn't good for them to participate in this. After all, the Tiandao Sacred Academy was a peak power in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Naturally, they also felt that the people from the Tiandao Sacred Academy might know some secrets they didn't know. Don't forget why you guys can appear here. Luo Shenlei calmly spoke. In the world of reincarnation, she was also born in the Luoshan clan. However, in the world of reincarnation, the dual-faction Qin clan had no connection with the Luoshan clan. If it wasn't for the various hegemonic powers speaking in unison, we naturally wouldn't have appeared here. If not, do you really think they would be so kind? Yu Changkong's closed eyes opened as a cold light flashed within. He stared at Luo Shenlei. Shut up, you don't have the qualifications to speak to me. Luo Shenlei glanced at Yu Changkong in disgust. This person's character was so despicable. Right now in the world of reincarnation, he actually wanted to create a storm of blood, acting against the people from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Yu Changkong's eyes narrowed as an evil smile appeared on his face. I don't have the qualifications? Things were different now. This place was no longer the supreme ancient immortal realms. Since Miss Luoshan has said this, I really have to seek guidance from you. Yu Changkong calmly spoke. His tone was extremely cold. If you want to fight, I will accompany you. An extremely cold voice rang out. The person who spoke was none other than World Overlord Lifeless. He also entered the world of reincarnation together with the experts from the Luoshan clan and was in charge of protecting Luo Shenlei. Sure. Yu Changkong sinisterly laughed. After that, he slowly moved forward. Facing against the powerful World Overlord Lifeless, he actually accepted the challenge. Grandpa Lifeless, be careful of this man. His personality is despicable and he can use any methods. Luo Shenlei transmitted her voice over. World Overlord Lifeless nodded. With a flash of his silhouette, he appeared in the air. Yu Changkong smiled and flew up. He glanced up at the sky and in an instant, a violet constellation appeared. Boundless astral light enveloped this entire space, blocking the vision of everyone. Everyone could only feel a fearsome emperor's intent. It was impossible for them to resist it. Everyone frowned. Their wills actually had no way to penetrate the violet astral light and couldn't see the battle happening within. Very soon, fearful roars of rage rang out in the air. The sky trembled as the violet constellation trembled. It felt like it was on the verge of collapse. Violent rumbling sounds rang out as the sky seemed like it was about to explode. The violent energy shook the heavens and earth. What happened? The eyes of everyone gleamed with sharpness, wanting to see the details of the battle, but they couldn't. Luo Shenlei's beautiful eyes involuntarily flashed with worry. After that, a miserable scream rang out. In an instant, Luo Shenlei only felt her entire body turning cold. She called out, "Grandpa lifeless." The astral light dissipated. It was like the night sky, extremely beautiful. Yu Changkong exuded magnificence through the generations as he slowly descended. However, World Overlord lifeless figure had already vanished. This scene caused the eyes of many to narrow as they stared at Yu Changkong. They have heard of Nameless, the Sky Order Heavenly Deity's divine throne. He was an extremely powerful hegemonic level world overlord, but he was actually easily killed by Yu Changkong. Not only so, they also discovered a detail. Back then, among the experts from the Ziwei Divine Court who entered the world of reincarnation, only Yu Changkong appeared. Where were the others? Yu Changkong's martial uncle, his junior brother, and 2 rankers on the Heavenly Dao rankings of the Mystic region have all vanished. Where were they? Now, do I have the qualifications? Yu Changkong smiled at Luo Shenlei. Luo Shenlei's beautiful eyes instantly turned red as she stared fixedly at Yu Changkong. How could this be? Yu Changkong was such a despicable character. Back then he was once suppressed and humiliated by her elder brother and was brought away by the people from the Ziwei Divine Court. She thought that Yu Changkong would be consigned to eternal damnation, but now, he didn't die. After entering the world of reincarnation, how did Yu Changkong become so powerful? Earlier, when Yu Changkong was fighting, he sealed everyone's vision. Was he hiding something? Could it be that Yu Changkong cultivated an evil art? In the crowd, the expression of Qin Wenin, who was in disguise, turned cold. He clenched his fists tightly. Yu Changkong was actually so powerful? Could it be that the evil art that had been bewitching him was really so powerful? What evil art did you cultivate? At this moment, someone directly asked, not minding Yu Changkong at all. The person who spoke was an expert from the supreme ancient great devil divine palace. The devil might radiating from him was extremely terrifying, exuding an unexcelled might. On the Heavenly Dao rankings of the Mystic region, Gu Ting from the Great Devil Divine Palace was definitely one of the strongest. He knew of Yu Changkong. He was someone who deceived the world in the convention. Now, he actually managed to kill World Overlord Lifeless, a subordinate of the Sky Order Heavenly Deity. This matter was definitely not ordinary. How can I tell you about cultivation so easily? Yu Changkong calmly glanced at Gu Ting. He had no fear at all. The him now in the world of reincarnation truly had the qualifications to speak to these characters. He no longer needed to look up to them. Back then, Gu Ting from the Great Devil Divine Palace was a character he had to look up to. But now, there was no need for that. Gu Ting's expression was extremely cold. He stared at Yu Changkong only to see Yu Changkong staring straight at him, not backing down at all. If you want to seek guidance, I don't mind. Enough, don't forget our purpose today. At this moment, a world overlord from the Qin clan interrupted the two of them. They were born in the Qin clan and initially felt contempt for Yu Changkong. But now, their gazes when looking at Yu Changkong changed. This person even dared to challenge Gu Ting. Seems like he was extremely confident. Chapter 1833. Gu Ting stared at the experts from the Qin clan before turning to Yu Changkong. He didn't intend to stop here and continued asking, "Let's talk about this matter later. I still have a question. Yu Changkong, where are your fellow sect members?" Yu Changkong narrowed his eyes as he stared at Gu Ting. It seemed like Gu Ting wasn't prepared to let this matter rest. "My senior brother and martial uncle died in a secret realm. Do I still need to report to you?" Yu Changkong spoke in a cold tone. Dying while exploring a secret zone? The demonic might on Gu Ting's body surged. "I'm afraid it's not that simple. Everyone should know why we're here. But if someone abandons his heart and wishes to take a shortcut, affecting the others, I have no choice but to make this clear. I don't want to lose my life in a secret realm in the future." The Great Devil Divine Palace and the Ziwei Divine Court were both hegemonic level powers of the Mystic region. Gu Ting naturally understood a little about Yu Changkong's matters. Although Yu Changkong's talent wasn't bad, and if it wasn't for the appearance of the Qingqing Realm Lord, he might be extremely dazzling. In fact, it wasn't to say that he wouldn't be able to ascend the heavenly Tao rankings, it was just that the time wasn't right yet. However, Gu Ting didn't believe that Yu Changkong would be able to kill Lifeless so easily after he entered the world of reincarnation. In that case, there was only one possibility. The eyes of many experts here flickered. Gu Ting's gaze was filled with an extremely invasive nature. Devil intent revolved around his body as he swept his gaze across the crowd. Seeing that many of them were silent, he couldn't help but coldly ask, "How many of you here have already betrayed your true heart?" Silence filled the air. Those who came from the supreme ancient immortal realms naturally understood what they were saying. However, those in the world of reincarnation felt somewhat confused. The words of these people seemed to contain a deeper meaning they had no way to understand. Could it be that the deaths of Yu Changkong's fellow sect members were related to Yu Changkong? What do you mean by betrayal? At this moment, a voice rang out. Gu Ting and the others turned their gazes over only to see that the person who spoke was a Buddhist cultivator from the Pure Land of Bliss of the supreme ancient immortal realms. He was the junior apprentice brother of 7 abstinences. He pressed his palms together and spoke. "My senior apprentice brother 7 abstinences went to the Western Paradise to seek the Tao, using his primordial body to travel. That is his true heart. Right now, if you guys want to cultivate any techniques, you can also use your true heart. It's just that my heart has been released under certain circumstances." Master is wise. Gu Ting nodded at this Buddhist cultivator. He was right. If there really was someone who cultivated those methods, it could only be said that it was a manifestation of their true heart and nature. Was the trial in the world of samsara supposed to allow people to see themselves clearly and find their true selves? When one's heart turns to Buddha, one will become a Buddha. When one's heart turns to the devil, one will become a devil. Buddha and the devil are separated by a single thought. The monk put his palms together and said slowly, "If one's heart turns to the devil, one will naturally become an evil devil." If that's the case, what does Grandmaster think we should do? Gu Ting asked. Among the people here, it was clear that Gu Ting wasn't the only one who had cultivated such a technique. It was just that they didn't want to reveal it. It was just that Yu Changkong was too eager to reveal it. This is an unsolvable problem. Everyone, whether or not you can protect your true self or if your heart is being corroded, you can only depend on yourselves. The Reverend shook his head and sighed. The eyes of some people flashed. This was truly a difficult problem. After cultivating to the transcendent level world overlord realm, which one of them didn't have a strong will and determination? They had their own Tao and wouldn't change easily. If they were bewitched by the evil energy of the external world, even if they could grow stronger, they would still lose their true self. This wasn't the Tao they wanted to pursue. What would happen if they went astray? However, if they didn't cultivate it and chose to cultivate it like Yu Changkong, they might end up like World Overlord Lifeless in the process of competing against him. Also, among Yu Changkong's fellow sect members, there were 2 rankers on the Heavenly Tao rankings. They vanished without a trace just like that. They could faintly guess that they have already been killed. This disciple of the Ziwei Divine Court who once pretended to be the inheritor of the Time King's inheritance was truly despicable to the extreme. For the sake of achieving his goals, he would do anything. Hence, to everyone, this was a difficult problem to solve. Yu Changkong, you cultivate the evil arts. Are you not afraid of your Tao heart becoming unstable and suffering a backlash? Luo Shenlei's eyes turned red as she stared at Yu Changkong. During the convention of the myriad realms, this man was already incomparably despicable. She had always looked down on him. However, this despicable man actually killed her grandpa Lifeless. She couldn't accept this. Yu Changkong sat there steadily, quietly listening to the words of everyone. After that, a cold smile appeared on his face. How could he not have thought of this problem before? However, he knew that if he relied on his own cultivation, he would only be suppressed by his martial uncle and his 2 fellow sect members, suffering incomparable humiliation. In the Ziwei Divine Court, he also lived an extremely humiliating life. When he first came here, he became a beggar. At that time, there were evil voices bewitching him and he didn't hesitate to cultivate the evil arts. For the sake of becoming stronger, to change everything, even if he was consigned to eternal damnation, he didn't care. He would no longer be the Yu Changkong of the past. He wanted to be lofty, just like before. Luo Shenlei looked down on him and looked down on him. But now? Most probably she regretted it. The matter of cultivation is a personal choice. Let's not talk about it anymore. Our topic today is still the people from that place. How should we deal with them? An expert from a peak power in the Chaos region spoke. His demeanor was outstanding and his voice was calm, causing many people to cast a deep glance at him. Gu Ting's eyes were cold. He also knew that this matter couldn't be pursued. Yu Changkong definitely wasn't the only one who cultivated the evil arts, allowing himself to transform. I've already captured one of them. After interrogating him, he didn't reply and I killed him. Yu Changkong calmly spoke, like he was talking about an insignificant matter. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with killing intent. Yu Changkong actually captured and killed a genius from the Tiandao Sacred Academy? Let me make things clear first. This matter has nothing to do with me. Devilox directly spoke. He didn't want to be targeted. You basically don't belong there. You have your own identity, it's normal that you don't know anything. Someone calmly spoke. Devilox was a supreme character from the Divine Ox clan of the Desolate region. Even if the Tiandao Sacred Academy knew about the secret of the world of reincarnation, they wouldn't tell him. Naturally, since Devilox has expressed his stance, they naturally wouldn't offend him if they could. Today, I invited all of you here mainly to discuss this matter. Next, let's all use our strength to search for them. What do you all think? A genius from the Qin clan spoke. As he spoke, his gaze inadvertently turned to Goddess Nikhang. She was so beautiful that it could shock the world, causing him to have no way to calm his heart. He wanted nothing more than to obtain her right now. Also, the young miss of the Luotian clan was also extremely beautiful. Although her beauty couldn't be compared to Goddess Nikhang, she was still a rare peak-level beauty. Her beauty could even cause the moon and flowers to blush. If he could obtain both of them, how wonderful would that be? In addition, the Luotian clan and the Qin clan in the supreme ancient immortal realms had an old grudge. When he thought of this, his heart stirred. There seemed to be a mysterious energy circulating in his body. I naturally agree. Yu Changkong took the lead to express his stance. In the world of reincarnation, the person he wanted to meet the most was none other than the disciple of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wenin. All the pain and suffering he experienced was given to him by Qin Wenin. He wanted to repay him in double. If everyone obtains any inside news from this, don't forget to share it with us. A genius from a hegemonic power in the heaven region spoke. All of them had their own ulterior motives in their hearts. If some core members of the Tiandao Sacred Academy really knew the secret of the world of reincarnation, after they forced them to reveal it, it would surely be of great help to them in the world of reincarnation. That's only natural. Yu Changkong calmly spoke. However, this was clearly an act. If they really knew the secret of the world of reincarnation, why would they reveal it? Today, I initially wanted to invite everyone to spar about the Tao. But from the looks of things now, I don't think everyone is interested anymore. Let's continue this discussion in the future. Yu Changkong continued. Right now, these people all had trepidation in their hearts and were wary of their opponents. Yu Changkong even killed his martial uncle and fellow sect members. In this place, anyone could be his opponent. Since this is the case, I will hold a banquet in my Qin residence. Is everyone willing to attend? An expert from the Qin clan spoke. There's no need. Gu Ting calmly spoke. He then turned and left. Farewell. As he spoke, the experts from the Great Devil Divine Palace directly left, leaving just like that. It has been many years since they came to the world of reincarnation and everyone was already clear about the situation here. Now that everyone met each other, they already knew what was going on. There was no need for them to pretend to be good friends and attend the banquet together. The experts from the various powers left one after another. An expert from the Qin clan walked towards Goddess Nikhang and spoke. Fairy Nikhang, come with me to my clan for a chat. There's no need. Goddess Nikhang calmly replied. Uncle Chu often visits my residence as a guest. I treat Fairy Nikhang as my kin, there's no need to stand on ceremony. That expert from the Qin clan spoke again. Chu Nichang's cold gaze stared at him. If this was in the supreme ancient immortal realms, the world overlord of the Qin clan would definitely not dare to speak to her like this because Heaven's son Qin Dangtian was around. But here, the people from the Qin clan seemed to be much bolder. In addition, the eyes of this world overlord were filled with a sense of invasiveness. His gaze was scorching hot like he was under a devil's dao. Goddess Nikhang coldly glanced at him. She seemed to know something, and after that, she directly left, not bothering about that world overlord. Upon seeing this scene, the eyes of that world overlord from the Qin clan flashed with greed. It was like what the reverend from the Buddhist sect said earlier was right. Demons appearing in one's heart, that was their nature. This was their true heart. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.